first lawn application. Sign up today at ryanlawn.com/spring. That's ryanlawn.com/spring. We got a lot of stuff to get into and what should be a packed show on a Friday, depending on how everything fills out throughout the next 4 hours. We'll talk with Robbie Hummel coming up later on this hour, and talk with the Westwood One color analyst and get his thoughts on the games coming up this weekend, the matchups, what's happened in the tournament so far. Phil Martelli Jr., one of the coolest stories, that VCU team, and he is a really enjoyable listen in interviews, and so looking forward to talking with Phil Martelli Jr. About his quick ascension from being an assistant to last 2 years. He's been in the NCAA tournament at 2 different schools, Bryant and now VCU. Wins the game against North Carolina. Great coaching in the last 15 minutes. Terrible coaching the first 25 minutes. Just what an idiot. Amazing coach, but an idiot the first 25 minutes, clearly. We'll talk with him coming up at 10:40. Matt Derrick will be our guest coming up in the 11 o'clock hour. We'll have Fran Fraschilla stop by at some point at that time. We'll see. Dennis Gates will be our guest coming up at noon. We'll talk with the Mizzou head coach going into year 5 for Dennis Gates. 3 of the 4 years he's been the head coach, they've made the tournament. How do they get to the next step? We'll talk to Dennis Gates about that. Jason Crow, Tony Bryant, Chronister heading to the team, Trent Pierce returning, Ant transferring. We'll see if anybody else in any news there. We'll talk with Dennis Gates coming up at noon, and then some Westwood One folks, PJ Carlesimo, Jason Horowitz, Kevin Kugler, and we'll hang out with Mick Schaefer. And Sterling, I scheduled this specifically for Mick Schaefer at 12:40, so Mick will join us around 12:30 or so, 12:40, and so we'll bring Mick on, and then Steve Lutz, the head coach of Oklahoma State, will join us, and we're having him on just simply because Mick Schaefer will be on. So then Mick can do the interview and either be a fanboy or vent frustration. I'm not sure which way he'll go about it.
I absolutely love that. That is the smartest thing you've done. This is just ideal, Jason. I don't love giving you credit a lot because it's more fun to rip on you, but this was an astute thing you did.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Oh, nice. We'll see how it works out, though. We'll see what happens in that particular interview. But that's how the show, we think, will line up. Not sure. But, those things will happen along the way. 913-912-4810 is the text line to join us. 913-912-4810. Text line to be a part of the show, part of the conversation. Let's get into the show because we'll talk with Robbie Hummel at 10:30 and some NCAA tournament stuff with him.
You good, Jason?
I'm hearing Michael talk about something about going somewhere, doing a double take, staring in my ear. I didn't know if Michael was talking.
No, Michael was talking to the Drake back there.
Oh.
That's
Okay.
what you heard.
Okay.
That's what you heard. They just wanted to get you some behind the scenes stuff.
Okay.
So they wanted
Apparently.
to confuse you.
Apparently.
Yeah.
I thought Michael was
Yeah.
talking. I'm like, oh, okay. All right. What's up, Michael?
Forgot the old mic was on. Just for Jason, though, not for Sterling.
Okay, so I was the only one that heard that. That didn't go out over the air. That just went to me.
Correct.
Okay,
yeah,
great.
Yeah, just you. So I'm just sitting here dumbfounded, like, what? Did Jason have a stroke?
No, I'm like,
does he smell toast?
I was just letting Michael go. Like, did a double take? Like, what, at Sterling or something else? Like, I'm not sure. What's
Jason?
What's Sterling looking at? What was the double take for? I don't know.
I got a mini mullet cut last night.
Did you?
So that's probably why. Yeah, it's mini mullet season. It's mini mullet summer.
Is that what it was, Michael? Was the double take at Sterling?
No, there's no mic arms in the
Darn
studio. That's what I was double taking.
Okay. All right. Darn it. I was hoping it was Sterling. You wanted to follow in my footsteps, Sterling, did you, with the mullet? I get it.
Yeah, I'm going back to when I was 9. I'm going back to my 9-year-old days.
I was thinking about growing a rat tail. I didn't know what to do. I went with the mullet. It was
It's
either
the
or.
summer of listening to Korn and Limp Bizkit, so I thought, why not really get into it?
100%. Yes, let's have some fun. Let's get into the show today. The Royals miss an opportunity to get the sweep against the Minnesota Twins. They get ready for the Brewers coming up tonight. We've got some sickness and the rotation pushed back a little bit. We'll see Avila coming up tonight, and we'll see what he looks like. a guy that they wanted to keep as a starter, moved him down to Omaha to AAA, or up to Omaha, down to AAA, but up to Omaha to make sure he remained a starter. And we'll see if that will pay off or not. Coming up today is everything will be moved back a day. So we'll see what he looks like tonight. The Royals didn't get the sweep yesterday. Cole Reagans, he looked fine, looked good, better than what he looked last Friday. Would have been nice to get more runs behind Cole Reagans. The offense has looked good for one particular game. And, the great part about the breakout on Wednesday is, hey, look, they scored all these runs. The rough part is you come back the next day and only score one. So we get into the conversation of, like, what's the Royals' offense? Is it Wednesday when they drop 13, or is it the other 4 games when they've scored 10? Or other 5 games, I should say, when they've scored 10 runs in 5 games, 13 runs in 1 game. They sit at 3-3, an opportunity to go 4-2 before the Brewers. And, whether we know they weren't going to get any more runs, but it would have been nice to limit the damage. But this is where we get into, Sterling, to where we look at the game and go, man, Steven Cruz gave up 3, and that's too bad. Schreiber gave up the 1 after they got the 1, and they pulled within a run. And, oh, man, if you could have just shut the door there. But we're talking about they scored 1 run. Like, to me,
Yes.
like the story is not the story is Reagans and how he pitched, but the story isn't the 4 runs given up by the bullpen. It's the 1 run scored by the Royals offense in that game. And I don't know if they were thrown off their game because of somebody oversleeping. Not an excuse. Go out there and play baseball. You didn't oversleep. You were there on time. Whatever. It's just one difference in the lineup. Cags moves up to number 5. I don't think that's going to affect him. He still, went 1 for 4 on the day. And Salvi had to catch instead of Carter. But the offense, I do think that it's only 6 games in. But there was some excitement going into yesterday's game, Sterling, because of the breakout on Wednesday and scoring all the runs in the bottom part of the lineup. And we joked about, boy, if they could just get some help from the non-outfielders on this team, that's the joke. But the reality is the non-outfielders are the ones that have to carry this team offensively, and that's not happening right now. 5 games, they've scored 10 runs. 1 game, they scored 13 runs. It's kind of like what we said yesterday, score 13 and win, or if you're going to give up a number of runs, score 1 and then show up the next day and score a lot. But it would be nice for the offense to stack some games back-to-back, 2 or 3 in a row, where they're scoring runs and not have to rely like they did in 2024, and certainly they did last year because the offense was so bad, more last year than 24, on, hey, can the pitching staff keep them to 2 runs because the Royals offense hopefully will scratch across 3.
Yeah, first and foremost, good call on Reagans. He was electric. This is the Reagans we're used to seeing. It was nice to see him go out and perform like that after he was the one that struggled in his first start compared to every other starter. But this was the most predictable thing we saw coming. 13 runs the night before, they were going to score 0 or 1. That's how it works. That's the nature of Royals baseball, baby. The frustration is Bobby Witt Jr. is hitting the ball hard, and they're turning into double plays or hard hit outs. But at some point, lift that thing. I don't know. I've been a little frustrated with the lack of slug from some of the guys that you have been wanting to count on, because even Isaac Collins in his game got on base 2 out of 4 times. He went to the plate. Like, Kyle Isbell, if he goes 1 for 4 every game, you're going to take that. They're doing their job. At some point, Bobby, Salvi, Vinny, they got to get going. They got to get going, because you're 3-3, and outside of Michael, the top of the lineup, your main dudes have been the reason that you're 3-3 and not 4-2 or 5-1.
Yeah. And I don't know if it's like, do you there's always the glass half full, glass half empty, different ways of looking at it. And so right now, I don't know if it's half full or half empty. There's just, it's half liquid in there. I don't know how to say it without like positive or negative, because you can spin it either way. And you can say, well, okay, they're 3-3, and the meat of the order, what's going to be leading this team offensively, is not doing much, and they're 3-3. Now, when those guys start hitting, then with the pitching staff, they can really get hot and win 4 out of every 6, go on a 5 or 6 game winning streak, and help maybe build some separation between them and whether it be the Guardians or the Tigers in the division, and the offense turning it on. There's the glass half full. Glass half empty would be, I mean, you're getting some pretty good production from the bottom part of the order, and you're missing opportunities to get wins because the top half is not coming through. And if the top half could come through with the bottom half, now you're looking at this team going on a run and getting hot. So what happens when the top half starts rolling and the bottom half struggles, and it looks like 2025 again? That would be the negative part. The middle ground, Sterling, is, can you marry the two? You don't have to be amazing in the bottom half. You just can't be trash in the top half. You don't have to be amazing in the top half. You just can't be 2025 in the bottom half. Can you just simply be representative anywhere from spot 6 in the order to 9 in the order, and be what you've been the last couple of years, 1 through 5?
Yes, because you look at it right now, Kyle Isbell's not going to have a 1.333, repeating, of course, OPS the entire season. Nick Lofton, OPS in 900. Cags, OPS in 844. Isaac Collins, OPS in 835. Mike Elligan doing his job, OPS in 808. But then you have the main three, your core three: Salvi, 615 OPS; Vinny, 570 OPS; Bobby, 564 OPS. That's not going to work. Those three guys cannot be OPS in 600 and less. Those guys cannot be slugging all 375 and less. The extra base hits from those three need to pick up. Again, I get that Bobby's hitting the ball hard. I get that Vinny has a little bit of what happened last year where he is hitting the ball very, very hard, foul, and pulling it yet again. I don't know. Again, I'm not like panicking over here. I'm not sitting here that, oh my gosh, doom and gloom. But you don't want to ruin and waste the bottom half of the order, because they're not going to have 800 OPSs, 850, 900 OPSs all year long. It's unsustainable. You don't want to waste those.
Yeah, and it's why, going into the season, my concern was the offense, and we had conversations at different times with different people, and it had seemed like some of the concerns from them, it was, well, I don't know what to make of this pitching staff because of health. And I've been confident in the pitching staff all off season. Like, they've got the depth. I think they are going to be good again. They're going to be pitching the way that I expect them to pitch. Even 2025's pitching staff that struggled the way that they did, and the offense struggling in health, because the pitching staff overall was good, but struggling in health and offense struggling, they won 82 games. So I think while there was a regression in 25 from 2024, I think there will then be the health, hopefully on the positive side, in 2026. But what happens with the offense? So far through 6 games, we've seen them 5 out of 6 games struggle to scratch across runs and put together big innings, again, outside of one game when they put together some big innings and it totaled 13 runs in the game. They haven't been able to, whether it's keep the line moving or come up with a big hit when you've got, men on base, and, you can have a big inning. It just has not had the they haven't had those opportunities. They've had the opportunities. They haven't had those guys come through yet. Yesterday, we were on the air. We didn't know why Carter was scratched from the lineup. We obviously found out later on. It was something odd, because when they said after the game was over, they were going to release a statement and let people know what happened, or make an announcement, whatever it was, make a statement after the game was over about why he was scratched. So it was like, okay, so if it was injury or illness, it'd be something that they would just say, oh, he's not going to play because of this, or he's not available because of this. Waka moves back because of illness. So we know that, they would announce those things. We find out that he overslept. Let's hear from Carter. Here he is yesterday in the clubhouse, talking about what took place and what happened yesterday morning.
Yeah, I mean, no run from it. Just didn't wake up to my alarm, slept through it. Don't really have an excuse, nor should I. Sucks, happens. Feel like I let teammates down, coaches down. So, just learn from it and just know it won't happen again.
So.
Yeah, no, definitely. It's tough. Just kind of apologize. At the end of the day, it's not about me. It's my mistake, and you just move on from it. Sure. Just wake up in full panic and, just try to get out of the house, get here as soon as possible.
That is very uncharacteristic for you. What do you learn from something like this?
Yeah. There's a lot to learn from it. I think it's just, making sure, if I don't set one alarm, maybe set 3, 4, as many as possible. So, moving forward, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to set alarms, make sure I'm up. So, yeah, it stinks though.
There's Carter Jensen. Let's hear from Vinny Pasquantino, and then we'll weigh in a little bit on what took place yesterday. Here's Vinny Pasquantino.
Who's preparing to DH today, and then his world gets a little rocked that an hour and a half before the game, he's not going to be DHing. So, credit to Salvi today for being ready. First and foremost, we're glad Carter's okay, right? I mean, that was kind of the initial thought when you're trying to get a hold of his parents. Moment, he's really young. There are some things that cannot happen, and that's one of them. So he's going to have to wear it on the chin, same way anybody would have to. So you can't afford mistakes like that in this game. That it was not his favorite drive to the field this morning, but it wasn't our favorite morning either, trying to figure out what was going on. So, he'll learn from it and grow up a little bit. And, we're here for him, though. It's not like anybody's, mad at him. Things happen, but you got to learn from mistakes like that and maybe get another alarm clock or something at home.
So there's Vinny, and what I would say about what took place yesterday, my takeaway, oddly enough, is more about Vinny Pasquantino than Carter Jensen. Carter Jensen is 22 years old. This is not to make an excuse for what he did because he's a professional now, but he's 22 years old. And there ain't a person living in this world that hasn't woken up to the time, looked at it, and did the panic. And oh my God, 22-year-old, that feeling as a professional baseball player to then try to get to the field as fast as possible and then explain to your manager and other guys that have been playing in the bigs for a long time. He's had a cup of coffee and Salvi now has to start, and all these things are adjusted because of you, because you overslept. Everybody has been in that position before. It's how he responds to this. It's a mistake. He's a professional, so it's not to make an excuse for it. It does happen. It can't ever happen again, or then it becomes sort of an issue or a problem, whatever you want to call it. But it is something that took place, and they had to adjust to it. I don't think that they lost because of those things, but there's a couple of takeaways for me from this. It's one, Carter's 2 for 16. I hope this doesn't just derail then. He goes up to the plate with no confidence and feels embarrassed tonight if he's out there in the lineup or tomorrow, and people are, having their jokes with him, and the joke about the video earlier in spring training when he said he has to, he presses snooze like 7 or 8 times or whatever, and it's like, okay, well, that tracks, But oddly enough, Sterling, my takeaway is what an amazing leader Vinny Pasquantino has become over the last couple of years. That's a guy in the clubhouse that you want that says, look, kid, it can't happen again. It can't happen. We care about you. We love you. We're not mad at you. Everybody adjusted. You just learned from it. And I know it wasn't a good morning for you, but understand it wasn't a good morning for us either. So let's move on and let's learn from it. My takeaway is Vinny in that clubhouse and the continued respect that he continues to garner. And I think the team is in good hands post-Salvi if Vinny's around for a while.
Yeah, I'm with you. Again, Vinny's value is not just with what he does on the field. It's also what he does in the locker room. He is the guy who is the vocal leader. Again, almost the passing of the baton from Salvi to him. He does keep guys accountable while also being entertaining. He's like an older brother, it feels like, to all the young guys. I think the best thing that should happen is that they should play his walk-up song as an alarm clock for the next week. That would be my
Only if he is like, yeah, let's have fun with it. Let's embrace it. Let's laugh and do that. I think there will come a time where he could probably laugh about it. I'm not sure now is the time that he's in the laughing about it mood, but there will be a time when he will chuckle at it and laugh and like, oh my God, yeah, I can't believe that happened. We've all been there and something bad, and then you look back and go, ah, yeah, that we can laugh about it now. I don't. Twins had their fun, with their tweet about opening day.
As they should, by
Yeah,
the way.
that's
I
fine.
mean, again, end of the day, you're glad he's okay. The only guy who really has a gripe, in my opinion, would be Salvador Perez. And honestly, Salvi was probably excited getting to catch and not DH.
Oh, wait, you're probably right. You know what? Now we know the culprit. Salvi turned the alarm off.
Yeah, this is how Salvi's going to catch more games this year
That's
instead
right.
of DH, and he's going to turn off Carter's alarm clock. We got to the bottom of it.
Thank you to my friend.
Yeah, he's probably thrilled.
He paid somebody to go and unplug the alarm for Carter so Salvi did not have to sit. And Salvi's like, I'm not sitting today. Day game after a night game, I can do that. I've only got a couple of years left in my career. Why am I going to not catch as many games? I get the ABS now. Are you kidding me? I get the challenges and added. Everybody worrying about my framing. Now I get to, challenge pitches and stuff. This is amazing. Let's go, man. Let's go, brother. Let's do it. Yeah, I think we figured it out now. You know what? Carter did nothing wrong. Salvi unplugged his alarm.
It's the only logical explanation.
We got to the
Jason.
bottom of it.
Thank you, my friend.
Thank you. Yes, that's right. We got to the bottom of it as to how that happened. Believe me, there's nobody that's more embarrassed than Carter about the whole thing. And he is a professional, whether he's 22 or not. He's paid a lot of money to play the game. He's paid a lot of money to be there. And that's nothing that is new news to him or anything like that. He knows it. It can't happen again. And if it were Salvi or somebody else, it'd be the same thing. It can't happen again. But it is a younger kid, a 22-year-old, that's trying to establish himself on the team that's already struggling and then does this. I hope that we're not talking about a 2 for 30 start for Carter and he's already struggling and now he goes up there with people snickering about doing something that literally everybody in the world has done at least once or twice. Again, no excuse. I'm not poo-pooing it. I'm just saying we've all been there, so we can put ourselves in those shoes and probably that drive to the stadium that Carter had.
You know what's funny is this is the most minor off the field situation you could possibly have.
Right.
Like we're not talking about a dude who
He didn't show up because he got arrested in the morning because he was crazy driving.
Correct, or even something even more minor than that. Like, it wasn't like he went out the night before and was hungover.
Yeah.
Like it wasn't along those lines, right? It wasn't like we put up 13 on the Twins. Let's go out late. No, it wasn't that. It was he slept in because his alarm didn't hear it.
All right, so let's take a break because Robbie Hummel's going to come over, and we'll do that right now. Mike, let's move some things around that you had texted me about, if we can, and we'll do that probably after Robbie, if we can do that, because he's walking over. We're going to take a timeout. We'll come back. We'll talk with Robbie Hummel next.
You're in the zone with Jason Anderson on Sports Radio 810
Thanks, brother.
WHB.
He's talking with Sean Farnham right now, so. The reason I went longer there is because they said it's going to be 10:35 for Robbie. Well, it's now right on time. So, how long is this break? Here on Sports Radio 810 WHB, hanging out in Indianapolis. Ready Services, Reed Collision Centers, Ryan Lawn and Tree is who is presenting our coverage here in Indy. It is the Final Four. You hear it right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. You hear this man throughout the tournament. You'll hear him with PJ Carlissimo and Kevin Kugler tomorrow and Monday. Robbie Hummel joining us here in the zone. Robbie, how are you, sir?
I'm good. How are you doing?
I am doing just fine. How cool has your experience been on the radio side, getting into the media part of it? And one, it's not by accident because you're really good at what you do, but you're sort of star growing and growing, and the people that you work with. And we were just sitting here talking about off the air of you getting to work with Kevin Harlan, which is really cool because a Kansas City guy and one of, if not the best in America.
No, he's obviously phenomenal at his job. And I was telling you before we came on, like when we started and the music's playing for the CBS, NCAA tournament song, and you've got Kevin starting these broadcasts, it's like I was getting goosebumps, just because his voice is so synonymous with great NCAA tournament games or big sporting moments. And he just, for as good as he is on air, he is a better teammate. He is so supportive. He's so easy to work with. And that was the first time I'd ever worked with Stan Van Gundy. And Coach is awesome.
Yeah.
Phenomenal at his job, phenomenal person, amazing storyteller. But, you never know. You never know how it's going to be. But Kevin was, initially kind of like a traffic cop and kind of directing traffic, but just so supportive of everything that all of us were doing, whether it was Lauren Shahadi on the sideline or us with the analyst stuff. He just, man, I'm so lucky to get to work with him. And I know he's a Kansas City guy, but he's one of the greats to ever do it, man. He really is.
The conversation you guys had, I can't remember what it was. Who were the twins that you guys were joking about? Who was older or younger?
Wait, who was that? God, every game has gone together.
I know, me too.
The Ivisic twins.
That's right.
Ivisic twins.
That's exactly right. And he was joking, you and Jeff, who's older there between you two? And you can tell how he's clearly older. You can tell how more mature he is.
Right.
And that's fun, though. I mean, because, we're watching the games, and the tournament is such a part of America. Sure. And, you've been a part of it a number of times as well. Do you, as you watch the game going on, how is it translated for you from playing to then describing it and being able to describe it in a finite amount of time and then hand it over to the play-by-play guy?
I think that goes all the way back to when I was a kid. Growing up in Valparaiso, Indiana. I'm in third grade, and Bryce Drew makes the shot against Ole Miss. And
Pacer play.
Pacer, with Homer Drew as the coach. And I was lucky. I was switching classes, and we were walking through the hallway, and our principal was down watching the TV, and we yelled down to him like, "What's the score?" Because we weren't able to watch in class, which is weak. but he's like, "Oh, there's 2.5 seconds." So we went down there. I got to see it happen.
Amazing.
And I was holding my black and gray pencil box. I was standing next to my best friend John Zimmerman, and we were going crazy. It was the coolest moment. And then for that week of in between the first weekend and the second weekend, and they lost to a really good Rhode Island team, but between that and then Michael Jordan playing in Chicago, which is 55 minutes away, my dad worked in Chicago, just all these basketball influences. So I grew up immersed in it, and you're growing up in the state of Indiana where it's just such a big part of your community anyway. So I've wanted to play in the tournament from the time I was a kid, and it was a goal of mine in high school. I wanted to play Division I. I wanted to be an Indiana All-Star because that's a big deal coming out of high school, and I wanted to play in the NCAA tournament. And those were the three goals that I really had, and we made it all 5 years I was at Purdue. Unfortunately, with the injuries, I didn't play in 5 tournaments, but just to feel like, advancing to the second weekend and getting to feel the excitement and the buildup and the media stuff and to do stuff like this, as a player, it feels like it's really important. And I just, I wish I could go back in time. This is the next best thing. But when it's over, sadly, you don't get to replace that feeling. But it's the best, man.
Yeah.
And then the one game winner take all scenario, it's just anything goes. And the 3-point line's a great equalizer. There's so much cool stuff going on. And I fear that we're maybe ruining some of the mid-majors. We're not giving them a chance to retain talent, but we'll see. Hopefully they can find a way to keep guys in their rosters.
Robbie Hummel's our guest. You're from the era of back in high school or junior high when the coolest of teachers would wheel
Oh,
in
yeah,
the big
yeah,
TV
no
because
doubt.
that's how you took the TVs
Yeah,
from room to room.
sure.
You had to wheel
Well,
one
we
in.
actually, my elementary had just gotten kind of redone, so we did have the TVs that were up in the corner. They still
Wow,
had
you're
those.
young.
I'm 89, so I'm now
Okay.
37.
I'm 80, so,
all right, so
yeah.
yeah, I probably was just catching that.
Yeah, right.
But I remember some teachers were like, "Yeah, we'll put the game on." The funny thing, I was joking with my buddies. He called me the other day, and we were talking about how with the new setup, you can watch the game on True TV and TBS
Mhm.
and TNT and then CBS, whereas before it's just CBS,
Just
and it
one
was all
game.
regionally located. And being a big Valpo fan, the next year when I'm in 4th grade, they're playing Maryland with like Steve Francis, and they're down by 35 in the second half. And they go away, and we're like, how could they go away from this game? We could come back. And it's like, man, they're not coming back against these
Yeah.
dudes. So it's changed a lot, but it's still a phenomenal event to watch.
Yeah, I mean, back in the day when you had one game and you would watch the scores
Yeah,
on the
yeah.
on the top right, they would
And
change,
they'd
and that's
have
how
that
you
little
watched it.
CBS jingle sometimes with the scorebook popping up. Yeah,
That's exactly
totally.
right. Robbie Hummel is our guest. What region, remind me, were you in for the
see,
Sweet 16 and the Elite Eight?
Houston. South.
Houston.
Yeah.
Okay, great. So you had Iowa
Yes.
and Illinois,
Yep.
and we keep bragging around here. It's been a week or so bragging that in that Elite Eight game, 5 of the 10 kids at one point in time were from Kansas City.
Yeah,
And it's just
yeah.
a cool thing, Keaton Wagler being from KC, and then Ben McCullum and the Kansas
Sure.
City kids that he took from Northwest to Drake and now to Iowa. This Illinois team and Brad Underwood, what do you see from them? I think any team can win it this
Agreed.
weekend.
Yeah.
But it's interesting to me from Keaton Wagler's standpoint of a guy that was like, we'll see what he can do.
Yeah.
And we had Kevin Kruger on yesterday, and he was like, it just happened organically. He
Sure.
just kept, he'll have a practice, 6 assists, no turnovers, 4 assists, no turnovers.
Right.
And eventually it's like, we can't not play
Yeah,
this guy.
Right.
And if not for him, they wouldn't be here. And it's a cool story from under-recruited to top 10 pick and now in the Final
maybe
Four.
not a cool story for Kansas or Kansas State fans.
Or Missouri, yes.
or Missouri.
Yes, right
But
there.
with that being said, he looks like he's 15. He's got a body. I can kind of relate to this of coming into college and weighing 190 pounds at 6'8". He probably he's 6'6", 6'7", and he's got some work to do in the weight room. But I was really impressed against Houston. How they were trying to blitz him. They're trying to be physical with him. They're trying to, see if they can punk him out. And he just kept coming. And he didn't maybe have the greatest shooting game, especially at the rim. He didn't finish well at the rim over some of their size. But he made the right read every time. If they're taking away the roll, he's skipping it. If they're, staying on the shooters, he's hitting the roll man. He just, his poise in that game was really impressive. Then against Iowa, some of the shot making comes out. And, he made some big time plays and big time shots. And I saw him score 46 against Purdue in Mackey Arena. There's not many. There's been a lot of great players that have gone to that building. Not a lot can say they went for 40
It's an
plus.
amazing
there.
night.
That's incredible. And he's good off the bounce from 3. He plays pick and roll. He can get to the rim. Got to keep getting stronger, but he's got a really, really high ceiling. And I just have been really impressed to kind of follow his demeanor and to go from a guy that's ranked 150th in his class to lottery pick.
Yeah.
It's pretty amazing that in this day and age, with all the scouting services and YouTube and all the ways they have to find players, that anybody could fall through the cracks, and he's one of the rare ones that that did.
And as a freshman that early, we've seen Bennett Sturts went to Division II Northwest, and then he's a guy that's doing what he's doing at Iowa.
Yep.
I did love that region because from a coaching standpoint, you had one coach that started at Division II, another coach that was working his way through community college. One of those guys was going to go to the Final Four. Tommy Lloyd was never a head coach until he got the Arizona job. There's just so many different ways. There's so much talent out there in coaching if you find the right guy. If you find the guy and put him in place, then you can win big at a lot of places.
To build on that, Fred Hoiberg's an NBA player that gets into coaching, and Kelvin Sampson's a lifer, right? Everybody was different. It was fun to watch kind of how different all of their practices were in their preparation. I think Kelvin made guys on his team the day before the game run at least 20 down and backs or suicides. That was not the case with Fred Hoiberg. That was not the case with any of the others. But he runs a different, that's part of their culture. You mess up, get on the line and put the time up there and run your 55 or your suicide or your down and back or whatever the punishment is. So there's a million different ways to do this, and it's cool to see, when you get to see the preparation, just how different some of these guys can be.
Yeah. Last one for you. Is there a coach? Maybe it's Kelvin Sampson. I don't know. So I don't want to put it in your head there. But is there a coach that you look at and go, you know what? I'd like to see him win a national championship. Maybe it's this
There's
weekend.
a lot. I mean, there's a lot of guys that I think you root for in terms of, like Brad Underwood. You mentioned his story.
Yeah.
I think it's been so cool to listen to him. They asked about, is it hard to have to play Houston in Houston? He's like, man, I used to drive a bus for a juke team. I would have done anything to get to this moment. Like,
Yeah,
so
Ben McCollum was
Ben
asked,
McCollum,
you've
same
got
thing.
one less day to prepare than Nebraska. He goes, this
Who
is so
cares?
bougie. He
Yeah,
said it's so
like,
bougie at this
He
level.
stays up till 4 a.m. He wakes up at 6.
It's like I was at Division II. We were riding buses.
Exactly.
Like, you
There's a
kidding me?
lot. I mean, I'd be biased, but Matt Painter,
Yeah.
everything that he's done
what I
and
was thinking of.
accomplished, and like there's a lot of guys that you could say that you root
Mhm.
for because they're good people and they take young people and make them into adults and
Yeah.
do things the right way. There's a lot of guys that are like that.
Yeah.
So
I'd love to talk to you for 20 more minutes about how Matt Painter has been able to retain guys, and
Yeah,
that he
yeah.
and Tom Izzo are like the anti what we've seen with the
Sure.
portal and NIL. Maybe for another day we have that conversation. It would be great if we were talking about Matt Painter, the Mizzou coach, but we told the story
I think
before.
I guilted him enough to
I
keep
know,
him there.
I know.
I hope that's the case.
I know. I've told the story. You told the story a couple of years ago.
Yeah,
You're the
yeah,
reason he's not at
yeah.
Mizzou, so I've hated you ever since.
Well,
you know,
I just had to put in his head that he can't leave me too. Etuan and Juwan are gone. You can't leave as well.
I didn't go through everything I went through with the ACLs to
That's
come
right.
back and play for a different
cannot-
coach.
You cannot leave
You're
me,
not
especially
leaving.
with Conzo Martin locked up to Tennessee. You
Yes,
can't leave.
exactly.
You cannot leave.
That's a guilt trip, though. I didn't do
totally
all.
did.
I didn't do all this work to come back and play for somebody else.
Well, I think I definitely failed an econ final that week too. I was
That's
just a disaster. So
Not a disaster on the radio or TV. Robbie, you're the man. I really appreciate it, brother.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. There's Robbie Hummel. Great stuff from him. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back. Phil Martelli Jr. is going to stop by. How about that? That's going to be fun. Your headphone level good?
Good, yeah.
Okay, great. All right, let me text Todd.
We're rolling.
Oh, good. Perfect. All right, we continue right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Jason Anderson with you, hanging out in Indianapolis. It is our coverage of Westwood One's Radio Row. The Final Four games coming up tomorrow right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. And Monday night, joining us now, a man who had his moment, and his team had their moment in the NCAA tournament. You know, the tournament every year have these different storylines and chapters along the way in the book, and you guys
Everything's good.
Yeah.
I'm I love coming to the Final Four. I love coming to Indy, so it's good to be here. And it's always nice to be here when you've been. We're also chasing hard to get here ourselves. You know, VCU was here in 2011 in the Final Four, and we're chasing to get back to that.
Well, and when you're a part of it on Monday night, you get to watch one shining moment, and what's the point?
That's a fact. I mean, there's a lot of things there that you certainly do that. I found myself the other night watching the first one shining moment from like 87 or 88, something crazy. You know, I'm like, it's just you can't help. But when you see that, you hear that song, you watch it, and you just all those memories flood back.
But it's like, it's the beautiful part about basketball is that sometimes it's a glorious, amazing game, and sometimes it's devastating, because I know you weren't on the team in the Elite Eight run, but you've got a big shot that's hit by Oklahoma State, and that's heartbreak and devastation. And then Terrence Hill hits a big shot, and it's elation, and your family's there watching. So it's just both sides of the spectrum that you don't know what's going to happen in these tournaments, and it's one of the reasons why it's the greatest thing that we watch in American sports.
Yeah, it really is the beauty of it, right? The emotional swings of it, right? And as fans of the sport, right? Like, obviously I'm a coach, but also a big fan of the sport, like in the tournament. You can't help but get wrapped up in that, right? Like, whether you have a rooting interest or not, right? You're watching Duke UConn on Sunday night, right home, and my kids are jumping up and down. I'm like, they're not even rooting for UConn. One, somebody maybe is, and who knows what their brackets say.
Right.
I think, hopefully they had VCU winning it all, and their brackets were busted, but. You never know, but yeah, just that emotion of it is so cool.
I kind of feel like, are they grounded if they didn't have VCU winning it all? Like,
they should be.
Come on, I'll pay for the bracket entry, but VCU better be winning it all, kids. By Phil Martelli Jr. Terrible coaching job to fall behind by 19 the first 25 minutes. But
my brother's my associate head coach. I let him coach the first 25 minutes or so.
That makes sense. And felt like, all right, step aside. Now let me do that. What goes into those final 16 minutes? I mean, is it there can't be some like big rah-rah speech or anything, but you guys were able to turn it around and continue that for the next, what ended up being 20 minutes of basketball.
Yeah, we were a resilient group all year long, and it was interesting to see because, I got this job. It always comes back to that, right? Getting the right people, and we do a lot of work in recruiting of the character piece, right? We want the right types of guys. A lot of people say, yeah, I want to win, but it's like really they're saying like, I want to win on my terms. I don't know if I want to win on your terms. So we try to weed that out, and thought there could be something here, and then. We fast forward our second game of the year. We played Utah State, who was very good, NCAA tournament team, won a game. We played them in a neutral court game in Frisco, Texas, and similar situation. Went down 17 in the second half. We came all the way back and tied the game. Had a chance to win. We lost on the last possession, but I walked out of there and I was like, that type of resilience in game two with so many new faces. It's so easy to splinter then, right?
Yeah.
Point this finger, point that finger, and they didn't. They didn't splinter. They were resilient, and we had that multiple times through the year. So we were in those huddles, and everybody was like, we've been here before. We've been here before. That collective experience really pulled us through. And on top of great players making great plays, and, as I said, you get great players, and it makes a mediocre coach look good.
And every once in a while, a Terrence Hill goes off for 34 in the second, 34, 20, 23, 24 in the second half in overtime.
Doesn't hurt.
Not bad. At that point,
that was our first overtime game of the year, too.
Really?
We had not played an overtime game all year. And shortly before that, I had looked at that, and I was like, man, we haven't played overtime. And then, of course, first round of the tournament, OT.
As a coach, this isn't to where it's the literal definition of good coach, bad coach, but I worked for, a decade with Bob Valvano in Louisville. And he used to always joke about, like, from the fans' perspective, like, you draw up a play and at the end, the shot's in the air. Okay, as it goes in, am I a good coach or a bad coach? It goes in, I'm a good coach. Miss it, I'm a bad coach. Good coach, bad coach. Not that you drew up a play or anything, but what's going through your mind when Terrence steps back and the three's in the air? Because I'm watching, I'm like, the way he's playing, that's good. That's absolutely going in. Did you have that same confidence that he's hit it?
Yeah, and for me, it's always like, are we getting a great shot, right? And he's made that shot time and time again. If I were in our practice facility right now, he's probably making that shot right now as we speak. And so just watching him shoot that ball, I always look at his balance and how the ball comes off his hand. And I knew, when I saw his feet set and the balance he had, like I said, I've seen him make that shot. I can't even count the number of times since, sometime last year at this time. So, you see it go up, you see it go in, and, immediately I'm like, all right, what do we need to do on defense? We got to get a stop. And, that's really where I go.
Yeah. Phil Martelli Jr. is our guest. Was it always going to be the family business for you?
Honestly, yes, but when I was in that middle school age and I started to realize like the NBA probably wasn't for me, I didn't see a whole lot of 5'11" unathletic guys out there. I said, all right, well, maybe I need a new hobby, new career. And I either wanted to coach or do sports talk radio. I loved WIP in Philadelphia. Wow. Loved it. Yeah. I listened to it every day. So I was hooked on that. So I was one or the other, and then coaching one out.
Oh, wow. How about that?
So we could be reversed.
I know, right? I could be sitting here talking about this big win that we had at VCU over North Carolina. Let's be honest. I'd probably be talking about how I failed at this school and that school and, couldn't get it done there, and then, ended up in sports talk radio because that. But see, I did sports talk radio because I realized in junior high that there wasn't going to be an unathletic kid that just stands outside and shoots.
That's it, right?
Go to the hole. I faded to the 3-point line. I'm standing right here,
I might work today. In today's game, you might fit.
I was in the 90s. It was like the early calculus. I'm like, threes are worth more than twos. Why are you shooting that over there? Like I'm out here, and okay, whatever. Visiting with Phil Martelli Jr. How cool is that though? Last one, because I know you got other things to do. To have your family there in the stands and have it reversed, right? Your mom and you watching your dad coaching, and now your mom and your dad watching you coaching and winning games, and them going through the emotions of it.
Yeah, it's so special. Like I always say, like I got to see it obviously from that perspective. So now I understand what they're looking at. The other piece to me, the other layer is I get to watch my kids looking at that.
Awesome.
And, they're at the open practice on the floor and they're dribbling and shooting on the NCAA floor like we got to do, right? And they're in the press conferences so to be able to watch them, I have a 16-year-old, almost 14-year-old daughter, and then an 8-year-old son. But to watch them, see it, feel it, be able to take in those moments. I said at one point, my little guy, Nate, 8-year-old, he got to do the, put the logo on the bracket in our A10 tournament and then the NCAA tournament. And I saw one of those videos after we got back, and I was like, did anybody have more fun than Nate? Like, did anybody? Like, there's no way. There's no way. Like, there's no way anybody had more fun than him. And I carry those memories that I had, watching my dad do it. And it's really special to be able to create those memories with my parents and my kids as well.
Yeah, that's what it's about. That's really cool stuff.
How's the Chiefs? How are our Chiefs going to be this year? I'm a big Andy Reid fan.
Okay, so
big Andy Reid fan.
I think it's a bounce back year.
Right.
I think Mahomes is going to be ready to play week 1. Yep. I think they're going to be good to go. And I think it's going to get back to what we saw a couple of years ago.
Yeah, I'm an Eagles fan. I am an Eagles fan, but I do love Andy Reid. I absolutely love Andy Reid.
That's awesome.
I was very torn in the Super Bowl 2 years ago because I love Andy Reid. He got a bad deal in Philly. It worked out in Kansas City's favor, but when you win as much as that guy.
Yeah, it was a split with Philly and Casey, so we get the best of both worlds, I guess.
He's the best. I'm rooting hard for them.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. Thank you for saying that. Phil Martelli Jr., VCU head coach. We're rooting for you as well. It's a great story. It was so much fun watching you guys in the tournament this year. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Absolutely. There's Phil Martelli Jr. More Zone coming up next. Your headphone level good?
Good, yeah.
Okay, great. All right, let me text Todd.
We're rolling.
Oh, good. Perfect. All right, we're going to play this on Friday. So if I say the games are tomorrow, I'm not losing my mind.
That makes sense. I got it.
All right, 3, 2, and 1. All right, we continue right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Jason Anderson with you, hanging out in Indianapolis. It is our coverage of Westwood One's Radio Row. The Final Four games coming up tomorrow right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. And Monday night, joining us now, a man who had his moment, and his team had their moment in the NCAA tournament. The tournament every year have these different storylines and chapters along the way in the book, and you guys certainly had one of those. Phil Martelli Jr. of VCU. Welcome into the show. Congrats on that first weekend. How you doing?
Everything's good.
Yeah.
I'm I love coming to the Final Four. I love coming to Indy, so it's good to be here. And it's always nice to be here when you've been in the tournament. I will say that there is a special you see your logo up in the stadium. There is something special to that. But we're also chasing hard to get here ourselves. You know, VCU was here in 2011 in the Final Four, and we're chasing to get back to that.
Well, and when you're a part of it on Monday night, you get to watch One Shining Moment and see, you know, are you there? I mean, it's I'm assuming. Look, if the Terrence Hill step back isn't in One Shining Moment, what's the point?
That's a fact. I mean, you know, there's a lot of things there that you certainly do that. I found myself the other night watching the first One Shining Moment from like 87 or 88, something crazy. You know, I'm like, you know, it's just you can't help. But when you see that, you hear that song, you watch it, and all those memories flood back.
But it's like, you know, it's the beautiful part about basketball is that sometimes it's a glorious, amazing game, and sometimes it's devastating because I know you weren't on the team in the Elite Eight run, but you've got a big shot that's hit by Oklahoma State. And that's heartbreak and devastation. And then Terrence Hill hits a big shot, and it's elation. And, you know, your family's there watching. So it's just both sides of the spectrum that you don't know, you know, what's going to happen in these tournaments. And it's one of the reasons why it's the greatest thing that we watch in American sports.
Yeah, it really is the beauty of it, right? The emotional swings of, like you said, a game winner that goes in your favor and a game winner that goes against you. Those emotional swings are there's nothing like it, right? And as fans of the sport, right? Like, obviously I'm a coach, but also a big fan of the sport, like in the tournament, you know, you can't help but get wrapped up in that, right? Like, whether you have a rooting interest or not, right? You're watching Duke UConn on Sunday night, right? And like, no matter what your rooting interest is or no rooting interest, like, you're emotionally invested in that game. Right. And we're sitting at home, and, you know, my kids are jumping up and down. I'm like, they're not even rooting for UConn. One, you know, somebody maybe is, and who knows what their brackets say? I think, you know, hopefully they had VCU winning it all, and their brackets were busted. But you know, you never know. But yeah, just that emotion of it is so cool.
I kind of feel like, are they grounded if they didn't have VCU winning it all? Like,
they should be.
Come on, I'll pay for the bracket entry, but VCU better be winning it all, kids. I will say, going back to that first game against North Carolina, down 19 with 16 minutes to go. What a great coaching job by Phil Martelli Jr. Terrible coaching job to fall behind by 19 the first 25 minutes. But
my brother's my associate head coach. I let him coach the first 25 minutes or so.
That makes sense. And felt like, all right, step aside. Now let me do that. What goes into those final 16 minutes? I mean, is it there can't be some like big rah-rah speech or anything, but you guys were able to turn it around and continue that for the next, what ended up being 20 minutes of basketball.
Yeah, we were a resilient group all year long, and it was interesting to see because, you know, I got this job basically about 370 days or so ago, and, you know, you're trying to put it together, and you're putting together a staff, and you're finding the right people, and it always comes back to that, right? Getting the right people, and we do a lot of work in recruiting of you know, the character piece, right? We want the right types of guys. A lot of people say, yeah, I want to win, but it's like, really they're saying like, I want to win on my terms. I don't know if I want to win on your terms. So we try to weed that out. And the way this group connected in the summer when they first got together with 9 new guys, brand new staff, all that stuff, I was really impressed and thought there could be something here. And then we fast forward our second game of the year, we played Utah State, who was very good, NCAA tournament team, won a game. We played them in a neutral court game in Frisco, Texas. And similar situation, went down 17 in the second half. We came all the way back and tied the game, had a chance to win. We lost on the last possession, but I walked out of there and I was like, that type of resilience in game 2 with so many new faces, it's so easy to splinter then, right?
Yeah.
Point this finger, point that finger. And they didn't. They didn't splinter. They were resilient, and we had that multiple times through the year. So we were in those huddles, and everybody was like, we've been here before. We've been here before. That collective experience really pulled us through. And on top of great players making great plays, and, you know, as I said, you know, you get great players, and it makes a mediocre coach look good.
And every once in a while, a Terrence Hill goes off for 34 in the second, 34, 20, 23, 24 in the second half in overtime.
Doesn't hurt.
Not bad. At that point,
that was our first overtime game of the year, too.
Really?
We had not played an overtime game all year. And shortly before that, I had looked at that, and I was like, man, we haven't played overtime. And then, of course, first round of the tournament, OT.
As a coach, you know, this isn't to where it's the literal definition of good coach, bad coach, but I worked for, you know, a decade with Bob Valvano in Louisville, and he used to always joke about, like, you know, from the fans' perspective, like, you draw up a play, and at the end, the shot's in the air, Okay, as it goes in, am I a good coach or a bad coach?
It's a
It goes
fact.
in, I'm a good coach. Miss it, I'm a bad coach. Good coach, bad coach. Not that you drew up a play or anything, but what's going through your mind when Terrence steps back and the three's in the air? Because I'm watching, I'm like, the way he's playing, that's good. That's absolutely going in. Did you have that same confidence that he's hit it?
Yeah, and you know, for me, it's always like, are we getting a great shot, right? And
Yeah.
and he's made that shot time and time again. You know, if I were in our practice facility right now, he's probably making that shot right now as we
Yeah.
speak. And you know, so just watching him shoot that ball, you know, I always look at his balance and where the ball, how the ball comes off his hand, and I
Yeah.
knew, you know, when I saw his feet set and the balance he had, like I said, I've seen him
Yeah.
make that shot. I can't even count the number of times since, you know, sometime last year at this
Yeah.
time. So, you know, you see it go up, you see it go in, and you know, immediately I'm like, all right, what do we need to do on defense?
Right,
We got to get
yeah.
a stop, and you know, that's really where I go.
Yeah. Phil Martelli Jr. is our guest. Was it always going to be the family business for you?
Honestly, yes, but when I was in that middle school age and I started to realize like the NBA probably wasn't for me, you know, I didn't see a whole lot of 5'11" unathletic guys out there. I said, all right, well, maybe I need a new hobby, new career, and I either wanted to coach.
Radio 810 WHB, Jason Anderson with you, Sterling Holmes, Michael Darcy hanging out back at the studio along with Matt Derrick. Chiefs Digest 41 is the Mike podcast. Our coverage presented by Ready Services, Reed Collision Centers, and Ryan Lawn and Tree. We will talk with Dennis Gates coming up at noon. Mick Schaefer will join us. Still going to talk with Kevin Kugler before the show is over. Fran Fraschilla. Ask Fran Fraschilla about it. Bruce Weber would say that to us, and so we're going to. We're actually going to ask Fran Fraschilla about certain things. So that's coming up throughout the show. PJ Carlesimo. We'll talk with him, I think, at some point today. That's certainly the plan for him to stop by as well. Matt Derrick is in studio with us right now. Matt, hello, sir. How are you?
I am dandy, Jason.
Yes.
I'm here trying to figure out how to use these new mic stands.
I've heard, yes, I saw a picture of them, and I'm very excited to get back and use those mic stands. So,
This is
yeah.
sweet. I'm just gonna say this is sweet. This is
There's a learning curve though, because they
Yeah.
bend differently. It's not the normal bend, and they got a little something different to them.
Jason. You're gonna have an adjustment period. I'm just gonna say.
Okay,
Yeah.
good to know.
Knowing the way you handle a mic.
Thank you.
This is gonna be an adjustment.
Yes, I am very hands-on. I'm very handsy on the mic stand.
You
All
are,
right.
yes.
Drake isn't happy about how I move the mic stand around all the time, but I'll tell you this: I know anybody that does the show after me is happy because I am constantly OCD tightening every single bolt and knob and everything that's there, just tightening constantly throughout the show. So whoever is on after me doesn't have to worry about that thing falling apart. That's all I'm saying.
couple of knobs for you to be able to adjust.
That's
So,
right, and that's important. It
This
is
thing is all getting marked. I mean, this
Good.
is just
Great. Grand. Wonderful. You know, Matt, I was thinking about you when we found out the news around Carter Jensen that Matt Derrick has probably had that feeling that Carter woke up with yesterday.
on a daily basis. Are you kidding? I mean,
every Friday.
every Friday. Here just to show you how Carter Jensen I am. I was just telling Sterling before we got on the air. I set an alarm this morning for 8. I set a second alarm for 8:13. I know that I hit snooze a couple of times. I woke up with my alarm going off at 9:49.
You see, you would be able to live the life of a baseball player. I feel like your circadian rhythm is a baseball player.
Oh, I feel like Carter Jensen's getting the raw deal here because I mean, what time? I mean, the guy they scratched him from the lineup like what, an hour and a half, 2 hours before the game.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean,
I think
at
what
that
Vinny
point, I
said
guess
is that he
they-
showed up like an hour and a half or an hour or something like that before the game. So he showed up at
Oh,
like
that is
11:45 or
plenty of
something.
That's plenty of time.
It's with
I
the
mean, come on.
overreaction. My son doesn't even show up till an
Exactly.
hour before the game starts. You know, I mean, what's the deal there?
I mean, come on. We're just totally overreacting here.
Yeah, I mean, ridiculous. My son and the Royals have a lot in common. Our game on Wednesday night, our kids jumped out to an 8-0 lead and then won 13-8, and the Royals jump out to a 12-1 lead and win 13-8. I mean, both the 10-year-olds and the professionals were like, "Cool, the game's over. We've taken a big lead," and then they stop playing. I mean, it's ridiculous. You know. Also, my son sleeps through his alarm. I said in the first part, I know we're going to talk Chiefs here, but I said in the first part of the show, Matt, that, you know, it happens. He's 22 years old, and every single person living has had that feeling when they wake up and they look at the clock and they go, "Oh, no." My takeaway was my biggest takeaway from the whole thing is that Vinny's comments after the game and him being an amazing leader and sort of running that clubhouse. And when Salvi steps away, hopefully Vinny is here for a long time because that transition, they're in good hands with Vinny Pasquantino. That's my main takeaway from the Carter Jensen stuff is Vinny Pasquantino as a leader.
Yeah, that was good to hear from Vinny and everything. Like I said, I don't know what the big deal is. You
Yeah.
overslept. It's gonna happen. I mean, the guy was there, hour and a half before the game. So
He didn't show up in the second
plenty of
inning.
time. Exactly. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
And here's, and this is, people are going to probably, think that I'm being maybe a little too literal, and I'm being about probably 85% literal here. I mean, I'm old enough to remember, and I know it's still going on, but I'm old enough to remember when there were players who I'm sure not only showed up an hour and a half before the game back in like the 70s and 80s when I was a youth. But on top of that, we're probably a little bit impaired.
That's
from the
just
night
me,
before.
dude. That's literally just who I am. That's how I live.
David
I'm a
Wells.
19
David Wells threw a perfect game, still drunk and hungover.
I'm a 1970s baseball player is basically who I
Yeah.
am for radio.
Yes, that's right.
David Wells and David Cohn and George Brett feel like those were the kind of guys that their worst games were probably when they didn't have anything to
Yeah,
drink. the night
I
before.
wonder what David Wells' reaction would be if you said, "Yeah, there was a big deal in Kansas City. 22-year-old rookie. He overslept and showed up an hour and a half before the game started. And he got scratched from the lineup, and it was kind of a big deal." Like, really? I showed up hungover and still tipsy, and was told avoid Joe Torre because he's going to smell you and scratch you from the game. So if you want to pitch today, you better avoid him. He did, and then he threw a perfect game. So I feel like it's whatever. It all depends on how it goes. Matt Derrick is our guest. Matt, I was surprised earlier this week, and I guess I shouldn't be surprised because as much and as often as people are trying to find the next Patrick Mahomes, he is still the best quarterback in the league. But it did surprise me a little bit, Matt, that on Tuesday, that almost the entire NFL Live was Jeremy Fowler, Adam Schefter, Andy Reid quotes, Patrick Mahomes video, and it was like a full segment and a half about Patrick Mahomes and returning and timeline and everything. And again, he's the best quarterback in the league. They continually find things to talk about. It seems like besides the Chiefs, because they had been the dynasty so long. But is it surprising to you that there was so much time dedicated to a video of Mahomes and pretty much Andy Reid, Adam Schefter, Jeremy Fowler, all saying the same thing? This guy is going to want to play week 1, and I wouldn't put it past him. They just said it in different ways.
Yeah, I mean, well, everybody's been saying that since December.
Right, exactly. He wants to play week 1, and I wouldn't put it past him if he does. There you go.
Yeah, I mean, from the Chiefs, of course, we're hearing the exact same things that they've been saying with this injury all along. Which is, hey, this guy, we've seen him before. We know how he handles things. He's going to attack his rehab. Makes it sound like he's got some knives and some jiu-jitsu moves that he's going to be putting
I feel bad for rehab. Rehab is screwed.
Rehab's got no chance in this one. It's just like that's like bet all your money on
Rehab's
Mahomes
plus
versus
400.
Rehab.
Rehab is plus
Exactly.
400.
Rehab has zero chance. But I mean, this week has definitely emphasized that the Chiefs may have gone 6-11. They're still the straw that stirs the drink in the NFL. And and Andy Reid kind of even alluded to this a little bit when, talking about the scheduling and saying, hey, probably not going to be playing Seattle in week 1 because they probably don't, want to take that chance. But, Mark Donovan's talking about how, hey, we're going to play a lot of primetime games. And they got, hey, Peter Schrager's hanging out with Brett Veach for like an hour in his villa. I mean, it's this week reemphasized to me and just underscored that, I mean, it doesn't matter what the Chiefs did last year. They are still the team in this league. I mean, as long as they've got Mahomes and they've got Kelsey, that's going to be the case. But yeah, nothing surprises me with, the coverage or over coverage, if you will, sometimes of this team. And this week, just another example.
What did you make of the video? He threw a pass. He dropped back. He threw a pass. He wasn't cutting or running or doing anything like that. He did drop back gingerly. He did step gingerly. There wasn't a whole lot of rotation. You can break that down, Zapruder film all day. Matt, what did you see from that video? And we just talked about the reaction of it, but maybe you specifically, what did you see? And your reaction?
Yeah, and my first reaction when I saw it is that I thought it was notable that this was in Texas, that this was not in the Chiefs facility that he was doing it. And I'm like, okay, well, was this a case of him just, hey, getting away from the cats, and the mouse is going to, make some throws and everything and do something maybe he's not ready for? And then I think it was Brett that mentioned, and we're talking to Schrager, said that, that whenever he goes down to Texas, one of the Chiefs trainers does go down with him.
Yeah.
So okay, first of all, that's extremely rare that teams are putting one of their own trainers to go with one of their players. I mean, even the other superstars around the league, I mean, everything like that. You don't always hear about that happening, where basically you've got a trainer that's traveling with this dude 24/7 wherever he goes to make sure there's somebody with him. That's kind of crazy. But, again, I mean, at least that emphasized that this was apparently with the team's approval that he's to this point. I mean, it was like 4 or 5 seconds. There's nothing you can take from it. I mean, it's great. It's a great sign. I mean, 3 months out, making those kind of throws, it's great. You didn't really see anything. I mean, my other thought I compared it to was a little bit like, I think it was Jalen Watson, before the Eagles Super Bowl when he had that injury and there was a question about whether he could make it back and everything. And the team put out that video of him running. And I mean, it looked like he was running about 3 quarters and didn't look like it was like a 40-yard dash or anything. I mean, there's nothing you can tell from that, And in that case, Watson wasn't ready to play the Super Bowl, probably shouldn't have played that Super Bowl. In this case, I mean, we are so far away. It's great. You're hoping there's not a setback. And the way he's looking right now, yeah, I mean, I would believe what they're saying, which is that his recovery is ahead of progress and that, hey, week 1's not out of the question.
Yeah, I don't think it's out of the question. I would say also one of the things that I've heard that's sort of been a common theme is, okay, so if he's ready to go week 1, I still wouldn't play him. Or whenever he's ready to go, I'd wait another couple of weeks. And I initially had that thought. But then, as the weeks have gone on and months have gone on and things like that, I'm like, if the doctors clear him, and all of these doctors have cleared him and said he's fine to play, and he's fine to play, and Patrick Mahomes says I'm fine to play, and every doctor and trainer is like, yeah, he's fine to play, he's fully cleared, then what would be the point of holding him out 2 more weeks just for the sake of holding him out 2 more weeks? Maybe they did hold him out 2 more weeks, and that's, got him to week 1, and if he didn't play in a preseason game or something like that. It's been sort of I don't want to say a common theme, but it certainly has been something that people have had their opinions on, you know what, I'd rather not see him week 1 or week 2, because I had that opinion at the beginning of the rehab of, okay, week 3, week 4, let's see Patrick Mahomes. Don't rush it. Don't try to get back. I think there's a difference between rushing it and taking chances and destroying rehab in a fight in the rim or in the ring and, slam dunking on rehab, posterizing rehab, all these different things. We can come hitting a home run off rehab. I don't know. And being ready to go and being cleared, Matt.
Yeah. And, I don't have that much of an issue with anybody who says, hey, either way necessarily. If you say, hey, if he's ready to go week 1, play him, great. Doctors say it's all good, go for it. If you're of the type that says, hey, maybe he didn't get back into camp until early August, mid-August, and he's only had a couple of weeks to get ready, and if you want to say, hey, hold him out for a couple of weeks, no issues there. The only thing I would say is that if there's, we mentioned it, I think this last week, is that if there is any thought about getting him out there, trying to push him out there for OTAs,
oh, God.
just shut that down.
Oh, my God, yeah.
Because there's been some speculation that maybe he'll be ready to go out there and do some things. Hey, all of OTAs will be taking place within 6 months of the surgery and the injury. That is ridiculous. 6 months is people have come back from it in 6 months, but there's no reason. If you're pushing it to come back and you're playing a game, but we're talking about practice. If you're talking about rushing your rehab to get back so that you can do a mandatory mini camp in the middle of June, no, shut that down.
Yes.
That does not need to be happening. But otherwise, no, you get to July and August, and then you go by the doctors, you go by the medicine. If the experts say that he's ready to go, you let him go and do what he's able to do.
Yep, I'm with you on that one. And the OTAs thing, that's nutty. At that point, you'd be like, okay, yeah, maybe we do have to, tell him to dial it back. You got Justin Fields, whatever. You don't need him for OTAs. If he's pushing it to try to get to be ready for training camp, and they're like, yeah, actually, he can pace for training camp, and we're talking about week 2 or 3 or that third preseason game, and he's fully ready to go, then hey, that's great. But OTA seems unnecessary. It seems like that's
totally.
Yeah, that just seems ridiculous. Matt Derrick is our guest. Chiefs Digest 41 is the Mike podcast. Let's take a time out. We'll come back. We'll continue talking with Matt. Andy Reid weighed in on a couple of things. I want to get Matt's thoughts on Xavier Worthy and how much the injury may have actually hampered what the Chiefs wanted to do with Xavier Worthy in year number 2. Take it with a grain of salt. How much truth is to what Andy Reid said. We'll talk about those things. And the money in Vegas is really interesting leading into the draft because it's following the theme of the mock drafts, and I don't get it. And so we'll ask Matt Derrick where he would place his money on a certain position, how Vegas has the odds set. We'll explain. We'll do that coming up next. place with Xavier Worthy. Jesse Newell also has numbers to back that up, so I do think there's an element to it. And does that give you more optimism of fully healthy Xavier Worthy? They do have more plans for him to run routes, which was part of our frustration this last year of why isn't he doing different things?
Yeah, I 100% believe this because I've been saying this for a while. I mean that there was no doubt in my mind watching Xavier Worthy throughout the season and during games, and Jesse laid out the numbers as well that illustrates just the differences. That was not how they had planned on using Xavier Worthy last year, and he was never at any point last season 100%. So the guy that you saw out there, I mean, if he was even 80% at one point during the season, I think that would have been on the high end. But you could tell that there were moments when certainly you could tell that the Chiefs wanted to make sure they avoided putting him in any more situations where there was the likelihood that he might get hit that way again, because certainly, hey, another hit and like that nature, just like bumping of Kelsey the way that he did.
Mm-hmm.
You do that when it's not friendly fire. You get that situation when it's a 245-pound linebacker coming across and running into you full speed. That's going to be the worst situation. So you could tell that the Chiefs were putting him in spots that didn't put him in those positions. You could see Xavier, I think there were times that he was going out of bounds rather than take the hits. He was going down earlier, wasn't fighting the way through tackles the way that I think you saw him as a rookie. Some of the routes, the way he rounded them off, I think you could tell he was trying to avoid contact. And, and that's because, hey, it hurt. I mean, I've got a bummed up shoulder right now. It's not as severe as Xavier Worthy's, and I didn't have Travis Kelsey, run into me. But, I mean, there's days that I can't, raise my shoulder above my elbow level and everything without a lot of pain. And so I can only imagine what this dude was going through. And I think that, again, the reason why he was playing last year was a lot more to do about Xavier Worthy. The book on him, the scouting report was coming out of Texas is that dude was the toughest guy pound for pound on the team, kind of like your DeAnthony Thomas kind of guy. And I think he proved it last year. The fact that he was willing to play through that, and even though you saw the changes in his game, both the way the Chiefs used him and the way that he played the game, I mean, that's going to happen with an injury. But the fact that he was out there, let's put it this way, there's a lot of guys who would not have played anywhere close to the number of games and snaps that Xavier Worthy did with the same injury.
Yeah. Do you expect maybe then him having the, I don't know, maybe better version of 2024 that you can take some of those stats and routes and things like that and look at what 2026 can be? Is he somebody then maybe we should be talking about being relied upon more than, okay, well, Xavier Worthy took a step back, Rashee Rice, now, oh boy, they need a wide receiver really, really bad because they've got 1 year of Kelsey and then a couple of guys who are first and second round picks that haven't really lived up to it. And Xavier Worthy's been more Mecole Hardman than he's been first round pick.
I mean, again, I could be falling for the red herring here. I could be falling for the honey trap in the sense that I look at this team and I see, hey, Xavier Worthy was never healthy last year. He was almost 1,000-yard receiver as a rookie. And now, granted, a little bit of that was situational. Chiefs had nowhere else to go his rookie season because he was pretty much at points during the season the only thing that they had going for them that was not named Travis Kelsey. So, hey, is he going to be 1,000-yard receiver this year if he's completely healthy? I don't know, but he's certainly capable of it because his rookie season showed you that. Rashee Rice was, I don't think, ever 100% last season coming back from the knee surgery. I don't think he looked at the numbers backed it up because if you look at his speed, his next gen stats, separation, all these things were about 20% off from where he was the last full year, or even those that first 2 seasons put together. He was just not the same player, and the numbers showed that across the board. But he was almost 1,000-yard receiver as a rookie. So now you got 2 guys that full healthy seasons are capable of being 1,000-yard guys. And now you've given them a running threat that absolutely should be putting an extra guy in the box. As a guy that even on his own, even when he's faced with heavy boxes, can still be 1,000-yard back. You've got 3,000-yard threats on the field. And I mean, I'm not even counting Travis Kelce because I think if Travis Kelce's on the field enough to get to 1,000 yards, it's probably too much time for him to be on the field. He's not that dude anymore. But is he still an 800-yard receiver? Yeah, because he's proven that. He's still there. I look at all those things, and I mean, again, you're depending on a lot of ifs. But if Rashee Rice and Xavier Worthy are fully healthy and if they play to their potential, so there's two ifs. If Kenneth Walker acquisition works out the way that you want it to, I mean, those are three ifs right there. That if all three of those become yeses, this is, I think, one of the top 3 offenses in the league.
Yeah, I want to talk a couple of quick ones here, and then we'll let you go. We're going to have Fran Fraschilla on at the end of this hour before we talk with Dennis Gates coming up at noon. What do you make of then as we talk about the Kenneth Walker part of it? Andy Reid saying that Kenneth Walker was successful out of the shotgun as he was under center. I mean, Andy Reid's not going to go and say, no, we're going to run way more under center this year as opposed to, what we've done in years past. Is that Andy Reid saying, yeah, I don't care, we're going to run out of shotgun? Or is that also maybe Andy Reid saying that, well, Kenneth Walker can do all of it. So if we run out of shotgun, it's not like he sucks doing that. And if we run under center, well, he's good at doing that too. He's done both of those things, and he's been successful at it. What did you make of the Andy Reid comments, and did you make anything of it, or are they being overblown because, it's the offseason?
I mean, a tiger doesn't change its stripes. So, I mean, and Andy Reid was a tiger. So, I mean, Andy's not going to all of a sudden just go under center all the time. I mean, I can't see that happening. I mean, I would imagine that there's splits as far as how many times they're under center versus in shotgun or pistol and other formations. I mean, I think it's going to be pretty similar. The only thing, I mean, I think that in this, and I get, that there's a lot of teams that are having more success under center, and I think there's reasons for why some teams are going under center more. I mean, look at what Seattle was doing. Well, one of the biggest reasons why Seattle was going under center is because Sam Darnold was their quarterback.
Yeah.
Rams.
The Rams, and the Rams are special, and it's kind of a special category too, because Sean McVay is just kind of a mad genius. And I mean, but the team that they had last year, I mean, he kind of cobbled together that offense. I mean, it was impressive what he did. I mean, he had one receiver and a bunch of tight ends, and that's about it. And he made it work. But and that's the thing. I mean, I think that a lot of teams that go under center, I mean, they've got a reason for it, and usually because they want to go a lot of play action. I don't think Andy Reid's just all of a sudden going to want to go a lot of play action. I don't think he feels like he needs to, because again, we're talking about having the presence of Kenneth Walker there. I think the only thing that obviously has shown that the league is caught up on is on RPOs.
Yeah.
Defenses have adjusted. So I don't know if the RPO game can be as successful as it's been, even with a better run threat than the Chiefs have had the last couple of years. Maybe that's going to be the difference. Maybe their RPOs will be better. I would still like to probably see them run fewer RPOs, because teams are still going to look at those RPOs and think, oh, this is going to be a pass because it's Mahomes and he never hands off the football. Now, if he does, now in an RPO, he might be getting some 42-yard runs from Kenneth Walker, because he's got a guy that can break big runs, and maybe facing some defenses that just aren't going to be, respecting the game for a little bit. I mean, there's going to be some adjustments this season as that goes too. But I didn't take a lot of it from as from Andy tipping his hand or anything. But I think it did at least a little bit just indicate that I think they're going to do what they do.
All right, last one for you, Matt. Matt Derrick, Chiefs Digest 41 is the Mike podcast. In Vegas, the books, or not even in Vegas, I mean, the DraftKings, FanDuel, whatever. The betting favorite for positional group for the Chiefs to take at number 9 is now offensive tackle. Then defensive line, then cornerback, then wide receiver. Matt, where are you placing your money on the positional group for the Chiefs to take at number 9, and your reaction to offensive tackle moving up to now the favorite at the sports books for the Chiefs to take in the draft?
You two are more intelligent and advanced when it comes to this than I am. So I need to know. Can I hedge against the offensive tackle? Can I bet against that?
Can you just go offensive tackle, yes or no?
Yeah, I mean, can I just go, they're not taking an offensive tackle, period. I mean, I still think offensive tackle is in the realm of possibility at 29. I don't understand why. I mean, I've talked to people who say that they think that the reason why that, maybe the national prognosticators are so affixed on the Chiefs taking an offensive tackle at 9 is that they don't know that Jalen Moore exists, that they think that Josh Simmons is not all that, and that they're going to move him to right tackle. I don't get it. But even Brett Veach the other day, and Brett, hey, he can play possum sometimes, and he'll give the old misdirect. But even rattled off 3 premium positions with Peter Schrager the other day, and offensive tackle was not one of them.
Nope.
And he also, and we'll have to talk about that this part another time and everything, is that he also, without saying it, really, really talked about the fact that there's nothing at the top of this draft.
I know he really wanted to say that. No, there
really did. I mean, when your best compliment about this draft in the first round is to say it's a unique draft.
Unique. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
He wanted to say, "Oh yeah, having the number 9 pick is a great opportunity, just not in this draft."
Yeah, I mean, and he basically they almost said that he's like, yeah, hey, if we had the number 2 pick, it'd be great, and then we could get the only guy we want, but
it's not number 5 or 6. We need number 2.
I mean, he made it sound that they have like about 1 first-round grade.
Yeah.
And it wouldn't surprise me because this is a unique draft. There's not a lot of top-end talent. There's going to be probably a lot more second-round grades than there are first-round grades. Yep. That's for sure. I'm perplexed by that. I mean, I'll continue to say it, and I know it could get me into trouble because it's gotten some of my friends in trouble before. I'm going to eat my hat if the Chiefs take an offensive tackle at 9. I just can't see it. Does from a position of value standpoint, it makes sense. From a roster building standpoint, I just don't get it. And hey, maybe the equation changes if Ruben Bain is gone. But then I've been doing a mock draft this evening, and Ruben Bain's gone. I mean, I'm doing it for a radio station in Pennsylvania, and I already know Ruben Bain's gone. I don't know who the Saints are taking at 8, but I also know that all the wide receivers are on the board.
Yeah.
I know all of the number 1 corner is on the board. So other people are going to other positions. So there's going to be an opportunity. I just can't see it in a weak draft. The Chiefs taking a second-round offensive tackle at 9.
Yeah, I'm with you. Real quick, you got to pick one. What are you placing your money on? Offensive tackle, D-line, cornerback, or wide receiver?
I'm still banking on D-line,
okay.
Even though I think I'm more and more concerned that Ruben Bain's going to be gone, and that's the only guy that you would take there. I don't think the Chiefs would be taking Bailey. They could go defensive tackle, but if Bain's gone, then I think corner becomes a lot more likely than receiver.
All right, we'll see what happens. Matt Derrick, Chiefs Digest 41 is the Mike podcast. Matt, you're the man as always. Appreciate it, brother.
Great talking to you. Have fun there in the Final Four.
I will. I'll keep doing it. We're going to talk with Fran Fraschilla coming up next. As Bruce Weber said, ask Fran Fraschilla about it. We're going to do that. He's going to join us here on Radio Row in Indianapolis. And then we'll talk with Dennis Gates coming up at noon, the Missouri Tiger head coach. We'll take a timeout. More Zone next.
You're in the zone on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
Low testosterone can be a real problem for many women. It causes poor sleep patterns, decreased energy, low sex drive, and it makes it really hard to stay in shape. And as we all know, a healthy body is very important to our overall health and well-being. This is Jeff for Heartland Men's Health. And if some or all of these symptoms sound like you, we can likely help you be done with low T. We can also help you lose weight, support your metabolism, improve your gains in the gym, and more with our new targeted body composition plans featuring GH Pep.
All right, we're hanging out here at Westwood One's Radio Row on this Friday edition of The Zone. Jason Anderson with you. We are hanging out now with Fran Fraschilla with ESPN, joining us here in The Zone. Franny, how are you, sir?
Outstanding. It's my weekend.
Well, you had 2 games last night, and then you're bright and early today walking around here as well. It just never stops, right?
No, it doesn't stop, but I'm not working. I mean, my wife says they pay you to travel. They don't pay you to work. So I'm delighted to be with you guys.
Yeah, well, we appreciate it. You obviously do a lot of Big 12 games, and you're around Kansas a lot, and you've been to Allen Fieldhouse. You've been around Bill Self for a long time. How do you think this last week and a half, week or so was for him in?
Obviously, it probably was a family decision. We all know that he's gone through a few health scares, but in seeing him this season, you know, he's taking care of himself, and I'm delighted he's back. They've got a great recruiting class coming in, and the year didn't end quite the way probably he wanted or KU fans wanted. So great to see him back, because when he does retire, which will probably be in the next few years, it'll be a very interesting time for University of Kansas. But in the meantime, we can enjoy him coaching at least one more year.
Do you, I mean, know this might be it. Did you ever have that inclination that this was it?
No, and I never really asked him about it. I do know that he said he felt better. You know, you could tell just, you know, he lost some weight. He probably stayed away from some of those cheeseburgers in Lawrence.
He does look great.
For a long time. It's kind of year to year. Kelvin's coming back at Houston, and, you know, and then you have a guy like, you know, in recent years. A lot of it in Bill's case with his family is, you know, his son and daughter's got grandkids in Dallas. I would have been thrilled for him either way, but I'm particularly excited that he's coming back.
Yeah, I didn't know what the succession plan was going to be. Like, people talked about Jacques Vaughn.
Yep.
That maybe was Iowa City. You know, does he want to leave that?
That'll be speculation for next year.
For next year,
Yeah,
the year
yeah.
after that, and whenever. You know, any job that opens up probably for him.
Yeah.
Fran Fraschilla is our guest. It's been a few years since Kansas has made the second weekend. You got to go all the way back to when they won the national championship.
Yeah.
So, and it doesn't seem that it's clicked with Kansas yet and Bill Self. And the one thing I said yesterday, Fran, was if Bill had any ill feelings about where college basketball is today, about not wanting to deal with it, he had a clean break.
Yeah.
I'm leaving because of health through it.
Well, I think that's how you have to look at it. All the coaches I know, who I've talked to, who I've known for a very long time, you know, they pretty much say this every single year. And I have talked to him about this. The years of having Frank Mason or Devontae Graham for 4 years and seeing them grow and being able to do things on a court strategically with the tricky plays that he has, you know, the way he coaches his team, that's different. And he's told me that. And I think most coaches feel that way. You have to really adjust year to year. It's almost like coaching in the Jayhawk Conference in JUCO.
Wow.
Because you do have to accept the fact that, you know, in certain years you may lose most of your roster. Now, in Kansas's case, led by a young man named Talon Kinney, point guard coming in from Cincinnati, they have an excellent recruiting class. Obviously, Florida could be, you know, in the 20 to 30 range. And sometimes when they go into the portal, when I say they, I mean generically speaking, it's also going to be excellent. He's an old school Bill Self big guy in the Morris twins mold.
Yeah.
Where, you know, if you could, in the old days, he'd stay around for at least 3 years and you'd think about how good he could be. But he's coming back with a lot of experience. And I think you'd have to be a little optimistic if you're a Jayhawk fan that they're going to put together a good roster.
Yeah, and I think that, you know, getting TK, as you mentioned, that's a big one for them. I don't know what's going to go on. Sort of adjusted year to year, because when the NIL first happened in portal, it was like, let me go get the best players out there. Going to get Hunter, going to get Rylan Griffin, going to get AJ Storr.
Yeah.
And it didn't work.
That's right.
And last year it looked like, no, let's build a team around Darren.
Yeah.
And it never really came together.
Right.
And so I am fascinated by this upcoming season to see if, okay, I've tried it a couple different ways. Can I marry those things and find a way to get a team to make a deep run?
He can. I mean, quite honestly, and I think he'd even say, you know, they have missed at times in the portal. With Timberlake didn't work out, Storr and Griffin really didn't work out. They were really fortunate with kind of hung over them all year. So, you know, but the cool thing is each year, especially the way things are now, year to year, each year, to your point, the last couple of years, Jason, it hasn't gone the way they wanted, but it's still Bill Self, you know, and there is a good class coming in, and we'll have to see. And I say whether it's first or second, third. Now you got Arizona and Houston, you know, in the league. But it's not the same league when Kansas isn't fairly dominant, let's say, because they bring so much attention to the Big 12 nationally. So both personally as a
There a better atmosphere than what you and
course
Boog
not.
experienced with that Arizona game?
No, well, there's never a bad. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No,
but
you're good.
There's never a bad atmosphere at Allen Fieldhouse. It's the best place to watch college basketball. With all due respect to Cameron and Hilton, and McHale's great and down in Arizona. But no, I mean it's the St. Patrick's Cathedral of college basketball, and there were some Arizona game I think was probably up there in my top 5, and I've done a lot of games in there, but that's probably top 5.
Fran Fraschilla is our guest here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. I wanted to get your thoughts on Casey Alexander coming from Belmont, going to K-State. It didn't work out with Jerome Tang, and it's kind of surprising because the first year was so great, and it was like, okay, this is the beginning here for Kansas State. They found somebody, and it just never stuck the last 3 years in the portal, and a new team every year like we're talking about.
Yeah.
What do you think of Casey Alexander? Seems like a good coaching prospect and making the move finally from Belmont to Kansas State.
Yeah, I know Casey a little bit. His Lipscomb team went to the NIT finals about 5 or 6 years ago, and then he went back to his alma mater where he played. And all indications are, first of all, he seems like a great guy. Anytime I've talked to him, he's certainly a salt of the earth. I think he'll fit into Manhattan quite well. K-State culture, and then he's an excellent coach. He's an excellent offensive coach.
Yeah,
he's got a great offensive mind. He's very much in the mold of Ben McCollum and guys like that. Bob Ritchie at Furman. When I think of Grant McCaslin at Texas Tech, another friend and a great coach, I think of him more as a defensive guy. Even though they are good on both sides of the ball, Casey has a reputation of being really good offensively with. He played for a guy named Rick Bird at Belmont, who shepherded Belmont from NAIA to D1, and it is really one of the great underrated coaches that probably only coaches know how good they are. And Casey's in that mold. A lot of Kansas State fans probably don't know much about him yet, and as they get to know him. But from a coaching standpoint, we all have great respect for him. He's a really good offensive mind.
Yeah, and I always wonder, like, you make the advancement up from one level to the next, and it's worked for some, it hasn't worked for others, but I see no issue, especially with today's game. If he was playing a slow it down, methodical, we're just bigger than the other teams in our division or in our league.
Yeah.
But if you can shoot, you can shoot. I mean, you can do the old Hinkle Fieldhouse and do the measurement of Indiana basketball and Hoosiers.
Where we've been the last couple nights.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's exactly right. And I love that style, and hopefully it'll translate at Kansas State. But at least one thing, it'll be exciting if you're going to have a team out there that's going to score the ball.
Well, they should. And the other thing is, my old boss, Rick Barnes, I read something he said yesterday. He said recruiting's different now. You used to try to get to know a kid over a year or 2 or 3, and now you call him up on the phone, you ask the agent what his number is, and then you're either going to get him or not get him. It's a different world.
It's crazy.
It's how much NIL money do you have, which is bizarre. But the point is, they can probably put together a pretty good roster fairly quickly, because I do think there's financial support at K-State. And it gets back to, we talk about Jerome and Bill, you got to really hit the portal with intelligence and figure out whether kids fit your style, what kind of people they are. In some ways, it's speed dating, which is not necessarily a good thing. I wouldn't encourage anybody to get married that way. at least with a college athlete, you can get rid of them in a year. But so the speed dating aspect of recruiting really is not, I think, what we all want to see. But I think they'll put together a good roster, and he's an excellent coach.
Who do you think wins on Monday?
I don't know. I mean, I'm kind of somewhat pulling for Arizona because we know him so well, we see him so much. But Arizona, Michigan is a great game. It may be the 2 best teams.
Yeah.
But one thing we learned about the Final Four, it's not best of 7. And so with these 4 great teams, any one of the 4 can win it. And in a one-game situation, like, UConn, who scraped by Duke by the skin of their teeth, obviously, and didn't look great towards the end of the year. All 4 of these teams can win it. Arizona and Michigan are built to win it because of the depth and the size and the ability to go inside and outside. But, I love Illinois. I saw them in Houston last week with Westwood. And, the Balkan Five, all those kids from the former Yugoslavia know how to play. And, I hate to say it, but a kid from Kansas City area got away, man. He got away from KU and K-State and Mizzou, and he's kicking butt at Illinois, and Keaton Wagler's going to be probably right now a top 6, 7 pick at worst. which is hard to believe, which
Yeah.
is the great thing about sports.
Yeah, absolutely. Fran
Yeah.
Fraschilla is our guest. Fran, thank you so much for stopping by. I appreciate it.
Happy to do it, Jason. Thanks.
Absolutely. There's Fran Fraschilla, more Zone coming up next. Michael Darcy heading up until 2 o'clock. Mick Schaefer will join us later on this hour. We will talk with Kevin Kugler coming up in the 1 o'clock hour. Going to be joined at some point by PJ Carlissimo and Jason Horowitz from Westwood One. And so that's all going to be in the show today. We're scheduled to talk with Dennis Gates right now. Don't see him in the room. So if he shows up, he shows up. If not, then we will continue to do our show. And see how that goes. But thank you to Fran Fraschilla for joining us in the previous segment to talk about the NCAA tournament, Kansas, Bill Self returning, Casey Alexander there from Belmont to the K-State Wildcats, and what he may or may not look like as the next head coach. So we'll see what that is. I do love the fact that they're going to shoot the ball. I do love the fact that they're going to be, just chucking up a bunch of threes. I love it. And obviously good shooters. You don't just shoot if you're, shooting 20% and just throw up a bunch of threes. But I at least like that style. And we'll see how that will translate from Belmont to Manhattan.
Yeah, it'll at least be fun. If you're going to lose, at least lose in a fun way.
Exactly, it would be nice to play some defense from time to time, because I know K-State fans got annoyed with you scored 80 points, but you gave up 95. You're just not playing defense at all. So how do you find a way to play enough defense? Yeah, I'm not saying you need to be Houston or Iowa State, but
overrated.
Play enough. Defense is overrated. I agree. That's how I approach my pickup games. Defense overrated. All right.
Yeah.
Look, I got a hand in his face. You were 10 feet away. I raised my hand. My hand was not down. Hand down, man down. My hand was in the air, and he made the shot. Sometimes you got to credit the opposition for making a good shot. It was a wide open layup. Credit them. He made it right. He didn't miss it. People miss layups all the time, all the time.
You did your job.
Exactly.
Jason. You did your job.
I offered some sort of defense, to a degree, some sort of defense. Not a whole lot. 913-912-4810 is the text line to join us to be a part of the show, part of the conversation. Bethany showed me in the break a picture and a tweet. TMZ is tweeting about Carter and his alarm clock. Like, is it really that big of a deal? Like, nationally, that TMZ is like having this this graphic, and Carter Jensen overslept his alarm clock and benched. I think that was what it was. Carter Jensen benched for oversleeping and sleeping through his alarm clock. Like, really? Like, TMZ is grabbing that?
Breaking news. Dude didn't hear his alarm clock. Called the cops. Like, what is happening here? What are we doing?
Yeah, that is, I don't know. It seems a little extreme, but, maybe I should expect that. I don't know. Maybe I'm being too defensive because it's a Royal. Maybe that's the case. I'll fully admit that maybe I'm being too defensive. I just, honestly, I don't think it's that big of a deal to happen once. Like, it does happen. Don't let it happen again.
Yeah. This is what we call a slow news day.
I guess, yeah. I mean, it's a Thursday of NCAA tournament. Aren't there press conference or stuff going on? I mean, they got the Final Four coming up tomorrow. Like, you got some things, happening that you could probably talk about. I'm not sure, how that goes. But yeah, we got some things to get into and talk about. But yeah, that was a little bit of a surprise. I do want to talk about one of the positives that we've seen, because we've talked about the pitching staff, right? We've talked about what Wacha and Lugo and Noah Cameron and Bubic, like, those were the main, like, Wacha and Lugo. We didn't know about Lugo, but really, to me, Seth Lugo, it's about July and August. Like, Lugo it looked fine last year. It's like, well, is Lugo going to look like 2024 or 2025 Seth Lugo? Well, which 2025 Seth Lugo? Is it Lugo pre-All-Star break or post-All-Star break? Pre-contract or post-contract? Because he looked awesome in 24, and he was pretty damn good in 2025 until he fell apart, and then he had to be shut down. Well, we saw the lull happen in 24, and the same thing in 25. So Seth Lugo, to me, it was like, I want to see him pitch well, but what happens in late July and August? Do they go about trying to, load management to a degree to make sure that he's ready to go for that? It was really Bubic and Cameron, and then of course Cole Reagan's health. But it was Chris Wacha and Seth Reagan's, and Noah Bubic, really who it was. But no, it's Cameron and Bubic, because what's Cameron look like? What's Chris Bubic look like? So that was the pitching staff. We talked a lot about that, but we also talked so much about the offense and the outfield in the offseason that the first 6 games. I mean, is there anything more except for maybe a home run or two from Cags so far? Like, Carter is 2 for 16. That's rough. But Cags is batting .347. He's hit the ball hard. He's at a number of 110 plus mile an hour. He would have had a home run the other night if he didn't hit a line drive laser over Buxton's head that hit the base of the wall, that felt like it maybe went 15 feet in the air. If he got under it a little bit, it may be over the batter's eye. Like, I don't know. Is there anything? He's played fine in right field, and we saw that last year, that, okay, he's going to be fine. He's not going to be Renfroe as bad as he was. He's not going to be one of the best right fielders we've ever seen, but he's going to be fine. Cags has come out of the gates what I think people were hoping he would look like outside of a home run, and it's not really discussed because of Carlos Estevez and the other parts of the offense not scoring.
Yeah, I mean, you can't really hope for much more from Cags. I mean, yes, the home runs, obviously, but as far as the actual plate appearances and I think a lot of the swing thoughts have been pretty good. He's always going to strike out a decent amount. We know that that's going to be part of his game. He's going to have a lot of swing and miss. But overall, I think his plate discipline and his appearances have been very, very good. Again, Carter, just a little rough patch here. We didn't see that last year from Carter hardly at all, because Carter was just good in his limited action last year. We never had to worry about that. Maybe the alarm clock situation actually makes Carter reset.
I hope.
Right? This could be the snooze on the bad part, and this is the reset.
Okay, yeah, all right, that's fine. Maybe he'll wake up from the rough start. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, that was my go-to.
That's what he's going to go with. Okay, we'll continue doing that until he gets out there again and plays. I haven't seen if there's a lineup for tonight or not, but I mean, I'd like to see him in the lineup. I mean, you probably want to give Salvi a day off, right? Since you were supposed to give him a day off yesterday.
Yeah, it's about 6. Well, he's probably DHing, but yeah.
But I mean, a day off from behind the plate.
Yeah, in the field, yeah.
Isn't it? It's. I almost said, isn't it amazing? By the way, we saw Jerome Tang last night. We were in an Uber driving to dinner, and we looked out, and he was talking to a couple of coaches just on the sidewalk. We were passing by where the convention center and where all the coaches are. So he was standing on the sidewalk. He was wearing a lavender shirt.
Wow.
I was like, you know what? You
Still cares.
Can't quit you. You can take Jerome Tang out of Kansas State and the Wildcats, but you can't take the K-State Wildcat out of Jerome Tang. That's what I'm saying.
Kill the man, but not the idea.
That's exactly right. Yes. But I almost was going to say, like, isn't it amazing?
I'm shocked you didn't. I'm kind of upset you didn't.
Yeah, well, I was going to say, isn't it amazing, which made me remember that we saw Jerome Tang last night. But I was going to say, isn't it amazing? But I don't even know what I was going to say now because then I got on the sidetrack of Jerome Tang. So there was something that I was going to say was going to be amazing.
That doesn't sound like you getting off track. That
I know, but I forgot the train of thought, though. I was like, oh, here's a little quick aside. Here's a little sidebar. Here's an anecdote, Jack Caglione. We saw him last night. Now let me get into what I was going to say that, it's amazing that, and I did not get to whatever that was. I don't know. I was talking about the lineup, if it's not out yet, and if Carter would get the start and have Salvi. Oh, that's what I remember. I remember what I was going to say. The games have sped up so much, Sterling, that a 9-inning game that goes 3 hours plus, we called it a marathon. That marathon game on Wednesday night that Salvi caught every single pitch and then had to return on Thursday for a day game and catch then. He caught that marathon 9-inning game that went over 3 hours.
It was like 4 hours, though.
It did feel long.
Wednesday game.
How
that
long was it,
one,
though?
Is there? Yesterday's game was 2:55.
Mm-hmm.
Let me look up Wednesday's game. Let me see if I can find that for you.
But isn't it amazing, though, that it goes 9 and we say it's a marathon because it only goes 9 innings and it's not 3 hours or 2.5? It's amazing.
3 hours and 36 minutes.
Yeah, 3.5 hours. That's fine. That's a regular game. That's an hour shorter than what usual Yankee Red Sox games were before they instituted the pitch clock and limited times of how often you can throw over to first and step off and things like that. That's an hour short. 3.5 hours was kind of what 3 to 3.5 hours was like every night.
Watching on TV or having to cover the game, I like the pitch clock. When I'm at the game, I like 3.5 hours. I want to sit there and enjoy the longest possible time at the ballpark.
What about in the rain?
I want it to be an hour 15 tops.
That's exactly right. I want that thing to get over right now. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back. We'll continue. We'll see if Dennis Gates stops by. Hopefully that is the case. PJ Carlissimo is walking around here. We're planning to talk to him at some point. We'll see what happens on the other side of the break. Jason Horowitz we think we're going to talk to him around 12:30. Mick Schaefer is going to join us. Kevin Kugler. A lot of stuff still to come here on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
You're in the zone with Jason Anderson on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Yep.
Did Dennis blow it?
No, he's not here yet.
Love. Would you move Carlissimo if Gates sat down?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I'm just saying if Gates doesn't sit down, we'll play Carlissimo here. And if Gates...
Oh, I forgot that Carlissimo is taped.
Yeah, it's taped. What we'll do is if we start playing PJ Carlissimo and Gates sits down, then I'll just tape Dennis Gates and we'll play it after Horowitz, and we will punt Stephen Lutz. Sorry, Mick. We'll just tell him, hey, with Gates, we got to move Stephen Lutz because of Gates. Yeah. It's annoying because he's going to show up at some point.
Medically advised a test dose. And if the test dose
just
doesn't
not sure
work in
when.
the office, your visit is free. Call 844.
So just to clarify, we're coming back and just tap dancing, or are we playing Carlissimo?
What if he did? Well, you know what happened, Jason? My alarm clock went off, and I was late getting up and getting around. I had to do some other things, and try to get here as soon as I can.
Jason, are we just coming back normally? Are we just coming back normally, Jason?
Continue right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Jason Anderson with you, hanging out here in Indianapolis. We've got the games for you coming up tomorrow night and Monday. Our coverage of Radio Row, presented by Ready Services, Reed Collision Centers, Ryan Lawn and Tree, a man that you'll hear, you've heard throughout the tournament with Western.
Jason, I'm great. If you're not good this week, there's something the matter with you. It's as good as it's been, and I was lucky. I mean, there were no bad regions. The regions were incredible, but we were out west. We had a split the first week, was in San Diego. Happened to have had all 4 Arizona games, which has really been impressive, but went from San Diego to San Jose, and other than having to work with Kugler the first week, it was a guy.
Whatever.
We have to work with him.
Yeah.
But it's been a great tournament, and I just hope these games. Got a chance to watch all 4 practices yesterday, and obviously know the 4 coaches, some of them for a long, long time. But it's a loaded Final Four. I mean, we had 4 number ones last year. I thought that was going to be a tough act to beat. But I'll tell you what, the 2 matchups we have and the potential game on Monday night is really, I hope, is going to really be special.
Did Kevin ever shut up about Nebraska? Like the whole time you were around him? Like, was he able to focus on the games you guys were calling without?
It was unbelievable. But Kevin may have mentioned them 1 or 2 times, which was strange because they weren't. We had between the 2 regions, we had, I don't know why that was, but yeah, we talked about Nebraska an awful lot, and deservedly should have.
PJ Carlissimo is our guest. You mentioned you were in San Diego. You were there with Kansas, and after that game against St. John's, Bill Self had the press conference and said, you know, he's going to take some time with his family and think about what he wanted to do. And obviously, you know, the health and everything. He's had a number of health scares. He missed the Colorado game earlier this year. About coaching versus health and what you want to do and your love for it, and trying to weigh all of that.
Well, you can't get in any fact that he's been in a long time, and then he looks over and goes, "Not as long as you, but a long time." It was I thought Bill was in great spirits. I thought his team played very, very well. Again, the matchups, we had Hall of Fame matchups. We had him and Rick Pitino. We had so many. You know, we mentioned we had Tommy Lloyd there, Jared Calhoun. What we had, but I thought Bill was in good spirits. I thought he looked good, but you don't know. I mean, he's had a couple of very serious scares, and what he said, and I didn't talk to him directly about that, but after the game, you know, he mentioned he was going to go back and talk with his family, and he's certainly going to, you know, was certainly going to weigh, hey, how he felt, because you know, particularly the older you get, anything that happens, and you know, I always used to say it's really not stress, it's what we do for a living, but come on, it is stress. And if you talk about a place where there's perhaps as much stress as anywhere in the country, it's certainly the University of Kansas, and Bill has handled it so well. I liked what I've heard so far. I've not talked to Bill directly. Obviously, if he would decide to not coach, we're losing one of the greatest guys that's ever coached the game, and also going to and should do what's best for he and his family. But I tell you what, I love him. I was so happy to be there with him.
Well, I mean, yeah, I know that you've been crazy busy. He put out a statement, and he's going to return, but we'll see if it's going to be year to year or 2 years or things like that. And I do wonder, you know, when you play the game, the teams and the game tells you when you're done. Yep. Your body, all of that stuff. You don't have a choice at that point. As a coach, though, and somebody at the highest level, I can't imagine how difficult that would be to say, well, I'm going to walk away while I know I could probably do it for another 10 years if I wanted to, and it's what I love to do, it's all I've known, and now I'm just going to go and do something else. My body is not telling me that I can't do it. The teams aren't telling me I can't do it, but I have to make the decision on my own.
Yeah, it's extremely difficult for me. What kind of precipitated it was going from I mean, I was in college for 23 years, and then I got the opportunity to go to the NBA, which I never really thought. Jace, obviously I never even thought about it.
Yeah.
I was coaching, and all of a sudden had an opportunity. I was contacted, and Paul Allen, I think, the late Paul Allen was a great person, but a great owner. I think he had in his mind he wanted to hire a college coach, and that's why I got the Portland job, and I ended up coaching in the NBA for almost 20 years. The thing about the NBA is you don't have quite the security that you have in college, so it wasn't. I didn't have to make a decision at the end; they were making decisions for me, so you know, when it was time to move on, it was time to move on. But there's not a day like yesterday, especially. There's not a day that I go to a practice or a shoot around that I don't really miss it. And you know, the longer you do it, and the luckier you are to coach at the level that I got to coach at, you know, both in college and in the NBA, and certainly the level that Bill's been at his entire. If it's a year at a time, whatever it is, it's great. The college game is a lot better with Bill Self in it.
You've been around these coaches a long time, and over the years as well, from what we've seen, you know, 20 years ago, 10 years ago. It's funny, we had Kevin Kruger on yesterday, and I joked with him and said, you know, I remember back in 2005 when you were a grad transfer, and it was a huge controversy around like, you're allowing this guy to play right away.
Exactly.
Rule. And now we see what we're seeing now.
It's the Wild West.
It is.
There's virtually no rules now.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know.
You've talked to these coaches. How difficult is it for them to adjust and to be in real time? Everybody's adjusting and figuring it on the fly.
Night and day difficult. Really, coaches like Bill Self, and the guy, you know, the guys that have been in it for a while. I'll say Brad from this group, Tommy. Even though Tommy's been coaching an awful long time, he's only been a head coach. He's been a head coach for 5 years and won more games than anybody's ever won in their first 5 years in college basketball. But some of the younger coaches don't know it to be different. You know, they didn't grow up in the era that we did when guys stayed at schools for 3 or 4 years. I mean, I remember a time when it first started going where guys were coming out of college. Guys like Michael Jordan. I mean, prior to that, when you had a player, you had a freshman, you were so excited because you knew you had him for 4 years. When I started college, freshmen weren't even eligible. Yeah. That's how long ago I started college. So to see what it's become with the NIL, I mean, it's great that players are allowed to be played. The fact that they moved into it too quickly, there's no bumpers, if you will. There's no guidelines to what's going on. That's terrible. You combine that with the transfer portal, which is a joke. I mean, guys can go and transfer wherever they want, play whenever they want. You got guys in the same conference rating other players. There's so much nonsense going on. And, it's not just the portal. Everybody said, well, the portal doesn't start till next week, whatever the official date is. Guys are getting contacted, behind the scenes now. And it's, the guy, I don't want to put words in guys' mouth. My son is a senior at Colgate this year, played basketball there. Our son Kyle, he opened up at Michigan State, so I used that as an excuse to go out and spend 2 days with his. And, the guys that have been in it a long time are just shaking their heads going, man, this is not college basketball the way it was. There are some elements, I think fewer, but there are some elements that are better. There's a lot of elements that's just, it's made it a very, very challenging profession, even more so than it always was. And it's really unfortunate when you don't get a chance to spend 3 or 4 years with players and you don't, you started recruiting guys in the old days, sometimes when they were even sophomores, but certainly when they were juniors or seniors in high school, you got to know them or their parents. They stayed with you for 4 or 5 years. They graduated. You had so much continuity. It was just a different era of college basketball. It's gone for the most part. There's still a lot of places where teams do stay together. There's still some coaches that are really resistant and try and stay with, hey, we want our own guys. We don't want to do the portal. We want to recruit high school guys. But it's a different era for sure.
PJ Carlissimo is our guest. You had Arizona. They're one of the favorites here in this tournament this weekend. They've got Michigan. Tommy Lloyd has done a fantastic job. I feel like Arizona and Michigan have just like wire to wire been the most consistent, best teams all year.
Jason, I should take a look and research whether it's true. It just seems, and I got to, before I start saying it some more, certainly before I say it on a broadcast, seems that all year one of those guys was number one. It seems for most of the year, one or the other was number one. I know Houston's been in there. I know there's other teams that have been in there, but it seems they've been two of the best teams. It's not an accident that the two conferences they're from. Arizona wins the Big 12 regular season and the tournament. No, Michigan didn't win the tournament, but they won the regular season. The two of them are incredible. What blows me away when I went to now 3 weeks of Arizona practices, and when I saw Michigan practice for the first time, I saw them at UW earlier in the year when they played in Seattle. They look like NBA teams. Usually, when I jump back and forth from college to pro, like this looks like an NBA practice. And as a matter of fact, I don't know how many guys on the two rosters, 6 or 8 of those guys are going to be playing in the NBA in the future. So it's not a great rebounding team, but when you look at Arizona, Michigan, and Illinois in terms of on the glass, the battles up front are going to be incredible, and I think that's going to be a huge factor, in the Arizona and Michigan. Everybody say, well, it's going to cancel out. They're both good rebounding teams. I don't think it's going to cancel out. I think one of them is going to get an edge, and it's going to really be significant because the two of them have lived on the glass all year. They have just dominated teams.
PJ Carlissimo, you'll hear him right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB, your home of the NCAA tournament and the national championship coming up tomorrow and on Monday. Absolutely. There you go, PJ Carlissimo. We'll come back, continue with more Zone right after this. This is Reed Collision Centers and Ryan Lawn and Tree. Joining us now from Westwood One, it is Jason Horowitz here in the zone on a Friday. Jason, how are you, sir? Hotel, and it was just this downpour. And I'm like, well, I'm not walking to the convention center with that. So I turned around, waited like 30 seconds, and it stopped. I'm like, oh, great.
It is kind of nice
Let
that
me
there's
run.
like tunnels, and it's like all
nice.
throughout the city. It's like
Yes. I had to walk over to the tunnel, though. So I had to be
well, that's a
outside
problem,
for
yeah.
like a block and a half. That was it to get to the tunnel. So I
You know, it's interesting because I think everyone wants to grab onto like this is what college basketball is now, and base it off of what this tournament has been or last year's tournament. And I think it's still too early to tell. Like, there's no question that we are heading towards an era where it feels like the Cinderella high points, fill in your blank schools, Oral Roberts are done. We've had back-to-back Sweet 16s with power conference schools for the first time ever. So maybe. That being said, I don't know. Let's say Charleston Southern, right? Who wins a tournament game? And I think it's too early to tell.
Yeah.
It feels that way, but I think it's still a little too early to tell.
Yeah, I want to. Obviously, you're here with Westwood One talking about the basketball tournament, but Fernando Mendoza, is he going to be the guy? I know he's going to be the guy
think
drafted,
so.
but is he going to be the guy to bring the Raiders back?
Oh yeah. Well, so A, yes, I think so, and B, yes, I think so.
Okay.
So
if people don't know Jason Horowitz, voice of the Raiders,
just like that. Let's talk about pro days, but like. He just did something different, and he was completely in charge of it. And I think the whole idea is to showcase how he has a huddle. People have talked about his abilities and skills, and you see the size. And like the run he had against Miami to win the national championship is going to be one that's remembered for college forever. And, by the way, Indiana stinks.
Yeah.
Right? Like if Kansas football goes 16-0 and wins the national championship, it's kind of – now, Kansas had a little bit more history recently, but like that's kind of what this is. And – I really appreciate everything he does, speaks, understands, and I think they're going to be really excited about him.
Max Crosby, how about that whole thing?
Yeah, how about that
took
whole
place?
thing? Yeah.
Are you happy that Max is back and staying?
Oh
a Raider?
yeah. Look, I mean, Max's play on the field speaks for itself. I mean, Patrick Mahomes gets that, right? Like, so
That's right.
I think we all understand as a player. And an effort and a guy who the work ethic is second to none.
Yeah.
Is the knee something that's real? Is it something? I'm sure, but I mean, he had just had surgery, and they knew that when they traded for him. So did they have cold feet? Was there something else? I don't know. But I bet we're going to have a really revamped Max Crosby the start of the 2026 season.
What do you think we get this weekend? Any of these teams could win the title on Monday night.
Sure.
And
yes, but I think a lot of people think whoever wins Arizona, Michigan is the national champion.
We've said on the air, too, that we think that's the national championship game, but it wouldn't surprise me if Illinois or UConn.
Where Wisconsin and Kentucky played in the semifinal, I believe Kentucky was undefeated.
They were 38-0.
And Wisconsin beat them. And I think a lot of people thought that whoever won that game was going to win. But you forget, because Duke had the freshman on the other side, Jalil Okafor and those guys. And Wisconsin-Duke was a great championship game, but the winner of the Wisconsin-Kentucky game was not the national champion. So we'll see. I'm very curious to see. It's been 26 years since a Big Ten team won the championship. Michigan has all the components of it. I do think Illinois can also beat UConn, so we have a possibility of an all-Big Ten title game.
Yeah, so it'd be guaranteed.
It would be,
yes.
yeah.
Jason,
or you could have neither of those teams win the championship.
That's true. Jason Horowitz, our guest. Jason, thank you so much for stopping by. I always appreciate talking with you and mixing in some Raiders with you when we get a chance to do that here at Radio
When are we going to see you?
Joining us here in the zone on Sports Radio 810 WHB as we continue here live from Radio Row. I think we're going to have Dennis Gates here in just a little bit. In fact, right now, Sterling and Michael, Dennis Gates is signing the Warner ladder. So every single coach comes over and signs the Warner ladder. We're going to take them live. By the way, we're not going to go to break.
Perfect.
Bethany, we're not going to go to break, so we're going to take Dennis Gates live right now. So whenever he's ready to bring him over, okay, just so we. Okay, great. Just so we're aware. Yeah, Sterling. We're
live
playing
radio, baby.
I know it's live radio. Well, they're like, we got you scheduled for 12:40, and I'm like, yes, Bethany.
I love that we could hear Bethany in the background. Bethany I like calling her Bethany too. Just in the background.
Yes.
Bethany is just yelling. Can you stop yelling at me?
What was that?
Can you quit screaming at me?
Was that a scream? I don't think. Are you raising your voice at me? Everybody can hear.
Seriously,
everybody can hear.
Bethany, you're acting like he's Mick Cronin out here. What is going on?
Or she's Mick Cronin. Maybe
is she
that's the
Mick
case.
Cronin in this scenario?
Not really sure who is in this scenario, but joining us now, head coach of the Missouri Tigers, Dennis Gates, here in the zone on this Friday. Dennis, how are you, sir?
I'm great. No complaints. Thanks for having me on.
Well, I appreciate you joining us. Looking back over the year, had a little time to reflect now. What did you make of the season for your Missouri Tigers in year 4?
Well, I'm excited about our future, but definitely excited with what we have accomplished. You know, sometimes you get judged on one game, and we all judge ourselves on being able to advance in a tournament. It's one thing to get there; it's another thing to advance. And you know, we're off of you know, this tough game against Miami where we played in St. Louis, but you know, being a 10 seed, great turnout from our crowd, but we picked the wrong day to play our worst. So if we could have it back, I wish we could, but that's what it's about in March.
Dennis Gates is our guest. One of the things that Missouri fans have been wondering and talking about is, look, 4 years in, going to 3 or 4 tournaments is awesome. I mean, clearly the program is heading in the right direction. How do you take the next step and get over what's happening in March and you know, make a run in the tournament?
Well, it's about, you know, it's not only about the team. We got to stay healthy. Each year we've battled some injuries that has stopped our team from getting better. And it played a role in our, you know, games that we wasn't able to advance in. The other part of it is continuing to, you know, recruit how we need to recruit. You know, at this rate, you already know where NIL is and what it does to the programs. You got to keep getting the elite talent, but now those prices are going way up.
Yes.
And it's unbelievable where the business is now from a transactional standpoint. So we got to continue to evaluate, continue to win the evaluation, not just count on, you know, just paying the highest paid players. We got to get the right players in the locker room and continue to build a team and build a culture.
Yeah, I was going to say, how do you weigh the paying the right players and knowing that it's not just going to be transactional for them, that there's going to be more than just, well, they're paying me, that's why I'm playing there, as opposed to, yeah, I'm getting what I feel like is market value, but I'm going there to wear that jersey and play for that team and try to win.
Yeah, the guardrails are changing, but for me, I try to make sure I'm putting myself in a position in our program in a position where we've known these kids for a long time. Even out of high school, we may have offered them or even recruited them the first time they've entered the portal. So there's some type of rapport there, and there's a trust level there. So if you're not able to have that, sometimes it's going to just end up transactional. It's transformational only through relationships, and I want to continue to build the right relationships with players, but also coaches, agents, and then obviously communication is the last piece, communicating with the former staff that they've just played for. I think that's very important. When we recruit high school kids, we talk to the high school coach. When we recruit JUCO kids, we recruit through the JUCO coach, and even now in the portal, we got to have rapport with our competitors, and I know it's difficult.
Dennis Gates is our guest. You made a priority for Trent Pierce for him to return, and the news came out that he's returning. What was it about Trent that you wanted to make sure that he was going to be a Tiger for one more year?
Well, you look at the impact he's had throughout his career, but also what he's done for our team once he got healthy on this other side, playing in January and playing through the physicality part. He impacted our team greatly, and I ultimately feel, you know, very, very valued, not only by him, but his family, his entire camp. The other thing is it's rare. It's rare to have a 4-year guy, but there's also said something about loyalty, a kid being able to move forward at one school. That's very important, man, and I'm thankful that Trent chose us and that he's done the job that he's doing and ultimately returning, because it's just as much of his decision as any.
Was it important to him to play for one school, to be there at Missouri for all 4 years and to experience what we used to know as a senior day?
Well, absolutely. Basketball? I think in a world where development requires you to go through things, hit the wall, fall down, get back up, he's not hitting the evacuation button, and he's allowing these situations to sort of mature him and allow him the real development that takes place. Sometimes now in this transactional world, you hit the wall, you hit the floor, kids want to hit the evacuation button and go into the portal. That's where you're not going to develop because you're actually running from a problem. He is a different kid, and I just thank him and his parents for how they view things and obviously his commitment.
What's the next level for him as a player? How good
I think
can
he's
he
a
be?
pro. Trent Pierce is a pro. He's a kid that has size for position at 6'11", and he plays a catch and shoot role. We want him to do more with the ball, but ultimately great decision-making abilities, low turnover ratio, and I just think the best basketball is ahead of him. So I think he's a great pro. I think he'll be in the NBA one day, but also I think he'll continue to impact Mizzou basketball.
Dennis Gates is our guest. This recruiting class should have an impact on Missouri basketball. Jason Crow, Tony Bryant, we saw those guys in the McDonald's All-American game. Chronister, a fantastic shooter as well. What do you see in these guys, and what'd you make of their performance at the McDonald's All-American? You had a three-point shootout winner and a second place for the dunk competition. And Tony Bryant wanted to be in the three-point shootout, apparently.
Well, what I did was I talked to both young men before that game and just wished them luck, go out and give their very best. The other thing is I didn't watch the game.
Okay.
I just received a lot of text messages based off of what they were doing. And I talked to them afterward and just told them how proud I am. I just think ultimately, it's a great thing. This is the first time in the history of the school that we've had 2 McDonald's All-Americans in the same class. Before these 2 young men decided to come to Missouri, we've only had 5 McDonald's All-Americans in the history. So that speaks volumes to what is being done right now. The other part, Aiden Chronister is just as good of a basketball player as any kid that's been in that McDonald's All-American game, and I think he'll have a great career, and I'm excited to coach him as well.
Are you guys done with this recruiting class, or are there
never
other...
done?
Okay.
You're never done with all the coaching changes, with all the things that's going on. You get still recruit. You still got to do things, and that's what it's about. For me, I want to be able to continue to evaluate the returning roster, the high school roster, and then obviously the portal additions that we'll make.
Yeah, I know the portal is going to be a big part of it, but didn't know if the freshman recruiting class was still a player or two out there that
still
may
open,
be
still open,
heading
still open
to Mizzou.
Yeah,
maybe.
still open.
I don't know. We'll see. Dennis Gates is our guest. How do you have Crow on the court with the ball, playing off the ball, if T.O.'s back, or running point guard, because he's a guy
I'm
that
not
creates.
giving my scouting report out right now, man. Stop it. I'm not doing that. No.
Do you let him create?
Hey, man, what's important right now is the guys that's on the team.
Okay.
That's all. Look, the guys that I'm able to return, we have unbelievable players that are free agents right now. Yes, they're free agents that we have not re-signed yet, that I'm working to sign. I'm not, at the end of the day, we have a different job. That job is to have retention. That job is to return the most important guys that we can return. We got the high school class, but we got to make additions from the portal that's going to allow us to compete in the SEC and obviously help us get past that round 1, get into the Sweet 16 and the Elite 8. And that's not going to come at a cheap cost. That comes at an expensive cost. And we got to identify the right guys. So I'm looking forward to trying to figure out who's going into the portal from our team, figuring out who we can now obtain in the portal and add, and that comes to the the 7. So I can't sit here and talk about the X's and O's of everything, but I do know this: there's going to be a lot of NBA scouts in our practices and at our games because of the additions that we've made in our program, and our success is going to predicate on those kids getting drafted and being winners.
So let me talk specifically about somebody that will be on in Jason Crow. And I know you didn't watch the game, but watching the game, I've seen highlights of all the points that he scores and how he scores. I was surprised, and I probably shouldn't have been, at how much of a playmaker he was for other guys, throwing alley-oops, driving and kicking, as opposed to the highlights show him scoring, right? Is that what you see in Jason Crow? Is that a guy that can score, but he's a playmaker for other guys?
I've been knowing Jason Crow before he was born. I had an opportunity to coach his father. When I was working with the LA Clippers, his dad was the last cut, great point guard, obviously played high-level basketball in Europe and then in developmental leagues here in the States. So for me, he's the son of a coach. And whenever you have that, you have a cerebral player. The other part of it is you have to make sure that you put him in the positions where he can still play to his strengths. He's a great scorer. He has to be able to have space, but defenses are going to be neutralized because he has an unselfish spirit, because he plays defense. And the world doesn't know how talented he is. But for his high school team to be able to win, he had to break a California high school record and average 40 points. That doesn't mean he doesn't pass. He has a great assist-to-turnover ratio, and I'm looking forward to his playmaking. I'm looking forward to his scoring. But if I just had him in a position where he's just going to pass, we wouldn't utilize his strength. If he was in a position where he was just going to shoot and not pass, he wouldn't be utilizing his strengths. He's a great passer, very unselfish, and he's a great scorer. So ultimately, that's why scouts are going to be in our gym.
Dennis Gates is our guest. You mentioned a couple of guys that are free. Would you like T.O. and Trent Burns and those guys to be back on the team next year?
Yeah, so Trent Burns has announced that he's returning.
My bad.
I would love to have everybody back. There's no doubt, because retention in college sports is very important. So we're going to continue to talk, continue to recruit, continue to build, and we'll find out on the 7th. By the time that should exhaust guys willing to leave, unless there's something that happens between the 7th and then the 21st, where the last day of the portal closes.
All right, we'll see what happens. Dennis Gates, head coach of the Missouri Tigers. Dennis, thank you for joining us, man. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Best of luck heading into
Appreciate
year
it.
5 for the Missouri
Appreciate
Tigers. And I know there's a lot of excitement about this class coming in and what next year can be. I know we talked about it on the air.
Yeah.
We were like, priority number 1, get Trent Pierce back. Get Trent Pierce back, and then you got Crow and Bryant and other guys and Chronister that can shoot. And
we got good pieces.
Yeah, let's
I'm
play
excited.
4 out, 1 in.
Hey, there you have it.
4 out, 1.
There
I'm
you
not
have
giving
it.
away your scouting
There you
report. I'm
have
just
it.
saying Trent
Hey,
Burns in the middle, 4 guys.
Therefore, I'm not talking about the scouting report.
4 guys on the outside, Trent Burns on the inside. Let's do it.
Hey, man, I appreciate it. MIZ.
Yes, Dennis Gates is our guest, ZOU. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back. More Zone next.
You're in the zone with Jason Anderson on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
What do you dream of? Lake life? Your own boat? Well, your own boat and a place at the lake. Nice. However you want to live, Central Bank is here with investment strategies, retirement options, and other financial solutions you didn't even know were possible to help you dream bigger,
Well, that worked out
bank
well.
better. While you're busy with the day-to-day, Central Bank is here to help you plan for all the days ahead to help you get the life you're after. CentralBank.net, Equal Housing Lender, NMLS 407985.
All right, we continue right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Jason Anderson with you, hanging out at Radio Row. Our coverage presented by Ready Services, Reed Collision Centers, Ryan Lawn and Tree. Joining us now, the voice of Westwood One. You see him on TV, you hear him on the radio on Sports Radio 810. It is Kevin Kugler joining us here in the zone. Kevin, how are you, sir? We meet here, we have this little anniversary talk, and it's kind of the same thing. Kids are a year older, everything's the same, and we're getting ready to talk about the Final Four.
All right.
You know, so,
well, let's do all those things.
You know what's new?
Talk about their alma maters that haven't won games in the tournament, and that's not me. I mean, I don't know what that's like. I assume other schools. I feel bad for schools like Indiana that don't win games in the tournament anymore,
right. Yeah.
but they're football powers now, so it doesn't really matter.
That's a good
what
point.
happens in basketball at a place like Indiana, when you're at a Nebraska school like Nebraska, with just a basketball power now,
Yeah.
I mean, you expect wins in the tournament, which is what they do.
Well, it's no longer Nebraska football, it's Nebraska ball.
It's Nebraska ball. Yeah, look, as he won 2 games, we've doubled the size with each win.
That's exactly right. We were talking about it in lamenting Mizzou and saying, Mizzou in the last 15 years, they've won odd tournament. Nebraska's won 2 more this before Missouri ever went to a Final Four. And
you
Nebraska,
and every Creighton fan in Nebraska was also going to be unhappy with that.
But that is what's amazing about maybe this year and maybe what Fred Hoiberg can do. Brothers from Nebraska, from Omaha, and huge UNL fans, huge Husker fans. But Nebraska basketball was Creighton.
Yeah.
And it was like, oh no, we there's Nebraska basketball. We love Creighton. But it wasn't anything about watching Nebraska basketball.
Right.
And what I've seen over the last couple of years, and definitely this year, was just this fully embracing of like, oh, this is fun. This is what it could be like. And so credit to Fred Hoiberg, but also there's tons of Nebraska fans that I think have been wanting and those basketball teams that were pretty good for a time, but hasn't caught on to where maybe there's some sustainability to it.
There's a whole group of Nebraska fans basketball could be, and then it never was realized. And all those folks are now of an age where they're looking for something to root for. And Creighton gave them some great moments over the years. But it's interesting time to be in a period of flux right now. Greg McDermott is retiring. Alan Huss is taking over. It's going to be interesting to see how that dynamic changes over the years.
It is amazing if somebody were, I don't know, let's say, taken by aliens in the 90s and brought back now, they would say, hold on, let me get this straight. Indiana basketball is struggling. Nebraska football is struggling. Indiana's a football school and Nebraska's a basketball school. What are you telling me here?
Yeah.
This is nutty to think about this. But it's college athletics. You never know. You get the right coach, and you can turn things around.
I will drop a name, not because I'm dropping a name, because it's relevant to this conversation. But I asked, we had Rick Pitino with St. John's in Kansas 2 weeks ago in San Diego, and we did our pregame interview with him. And I said something about rebuilding St. John's. He said, I'm going to stop you right there. He said, there's no such thing as a rebuild anymore. Every single year is a build. He says, we're done with this season. I got to go out and get 10 new players for my roster. It's a build every year. It's not a rebuild. And I think that's very accurate. I think that's where we are in college sports right now. It's not a basketball you're building. And if you get that roster right, you can win right away.
Yeah. Kevin Kugler is our guest. You were there with Kansas and St. John's. It was a real sin and the ups and downs, and then losing in the round of 32 to St. John's. And then Bill Self deciding what he's going to do. He spent, a little bit of time deciding he was going to either retire or come back. What do you make of at least another year? I hope it's more. I hope it's not a year-to-year thing for Bill Self. If it is, then, whatever's best for him. But what do you make of the decision?
Bill Self, and I am an unabashed fan of Bill Self, and I would say that regardless of whether I'm on in Kansas City or anywhere else. We had their game March 4th at Arizona State. Bill Self got ejected from that. He's on our coverage. Nick and I, who, of course, Nick played at Kansas, we had that game, and he got ejected, and Jacques Vaughn then picked up a technical foul. And so I ran into Bill again in San Diego, and we laughed about that for a moment. Because, the health scare that he obviously had, how much longer a guy like that wants to do it, whether it's Bill Self. I'm very happy he's back. I hope it's for longer than a year. Desire to build Kansas again. Back to the conversation of Rick Pitino. You're building again. So he's going to build Kansas basketball again. It should be a relative Bill Self in it.
Yeah, and I wonder too, and only those around it or Bill Self or those that are close to him would know this, but over the years, one of the things that I think has separated Bill Self from others is his ability. As Christian Brown 4 years.
Sure.
Ochai was going to redshirt his first year. Jalen Wilson is a guy that redshirted, and DeJuan Harris was a guy that was, going to Missouri State before he ended up at Kansas. And you've seen the NIL in the portal. It hasn't really stuck. And I wonder if Bill Self is just simply a coach that is so good at taking players that maybe aren't the number one player in the country. Like you said, it's building every year and be ready to go in March.
Yeah, it was because thinking back to Kansas teams in the past, there were a lot of one and dones, there were a lot of one-year guys, but you always had guys around them that know who those guys are coming back for this team. And, I saw Floyd said he was going to go into the draft and probably into the transfer portal after that. And again, I don't anticipate seeing much of that adjusts to that aspect of things, not having those stalwarts who were there 2 or 3 years to supplement the guys who come in for 1 year.
And I said on the show, and people will probably get annoyed at me continuing to say it, but Bill Self, we've seen Jay Wright, we've seen other coaches, maybe Tony Bennett. We saw Chris Kleiman in football, step away because this was something that Bill Self just didn't want any more of. He had a clean break to walk away and say it was health issues.
Sure.
And I just want to live out my life with the grandkids. And it has nothing to do with that. I would have continued to love, coaching college basketball. The fact that he's returning even with issues with the health says to me that, no, you're going into this with eyes wide open. You understand what college basketball is, and there are no excuses of, well, it's difficult to do this, and a challenge ahead of him that I think he's ready to face with a better understanding maybe of how to do it.
No, I agree. I think more.
Yeah.
It's multiple years into this world. You can still rail against it if you want to. You can go out and shout at a cloud, but it's not going to change what college basketball is. I don't think it's a sustainable model. Work as best you can in the parameters of such. As long as your administration is willing to support it financially, then you can win, and you can win right away. It's all a matter of what kind of support you have and out and get. If you get the wrong free agent, well,
that's right.
There's nobody to pick up off the waiver wire. You're pretty much stuck with that kid and the money that he's being paid at that point.
Unless you go to the NBA route. Then you can grab
bring a guy in on a 10-day contract. Maybe we go to quarter points where you win a point for each quarter and it helps you in the standings.
Let's do that too. Why not? Let's find different ways.
There's got to be ways to do
this.
We're
putting Ghost Runners on me because when I made my bracket all year long, I had said, I don't care what's happening. Michigan and Arizona, I'm putting them in the Final Four.
Yep.
They're not going to be in the same region, but I'm putting them in the Final Four. So I make my bracket, and I've got Arizona and Michigan. And at the last second, the Final Four, here they are. You had Michigan, and it looks like two of the best teams all year. They'll play Saturday night in what could be just an absolutely amazing game. What did, Dusty May's a guy that year 2 at Michigan has now had an opportunity. He's in the Final Four, an opportunity to win a national championship. What did you see from Michigan, and do you think nothing against showed to be the 2 best all year long consistently?
Oh, I think so. I don't think that's any slight to Illinois or UConn because I think that could be a really good game. But Michigan and Arizona, we had Arizona week 1 ball this year. And I've seen Michigan on and off throughout the season. And I have to say, early in the year, I didn't understand what the hype was about with Yaxel Lendeborg. I'm not a talent evaluator, but at the games I had him, he was just okay. And then I watched more of it, and it turns out when you watch him, he defers so much to his teammates. We saw him last week. They were killing Tennessee. And he turns to Ellie and goes, oh, it's my bad. That's my bad. He's like, dude. And he was upset that he took it away. That's the kind of player he is. This is a really dynamic Michigan team. They struggled for a half with Alabama because Alabama didn't match up well, which they did, and then they figured out a way to win. That's not going to be a problem going against it. The team that wins the paint is winning that game on Saturday.
The action. Are you sitting back like the rest of us in frustration or anger, depending on what entire life?
Correct.
You're good
You're
with
fine.
having one against you.
Yeah, you're due. No, I take your fandom out of this thing, and you do have to take your fandom of. A, I'm not a Michigan fan, but B, I'm not going to do that.
But we're all
Swood One Sports. But I do think that as these games and not find the joy and the excitement in them that any fan would, because what's the point of this? I mean, if I'm sitting there being surly about something or wins, we were sitting at a restaurant. We both screamed at an airport restaurant. There's a chance TSA comes and takes us out of the airport when we're doing this, but we both go, oh my gosh. And everybody's looking. I have no shame in saying that I was that guy yelling in a restaurant. Interview with him. I said, that was one of the coolest things that's ever going to happen in this tournament. Congrats on being a part of it. Because it was unbelievable.
And it's you, and you get to return home by making the shot.
Correct.
It's unbelievable. And at Indianapolis to go to the Final Four, and he's the one that helped him get there.
He said that the minute he got there, they had all kinds of decals and logos, and they had his face on the side of the JW Marriott in Indianapolis on a back to Indy.
Wow.
That was he goes. So I was sold. I got to go. I got
came up with, and we think in the NCAA tournament on shots like we never remember the shots that don't go in.
Nope.
So in our mind, a shot like that with the drama on the line, it's 80% that those shots go in.
Oh yeah, no, because you never remember the guy who, like, you remember that didn't, but there are very few.
But no,
that
we
you
remember. For
Georgia,
R.J. Butler,
Hunter,
R.J. Hunter. Thank you, Kevin. You would know the names.
I didn't do that game, so I'm surprised I remember it.
Yes,
because
but it was a great scene. His dad had torn his Achilles
Right,
and he fell off
the stool.
Right.
Right.
He's telling him, "No, I don't want to help up here." It's just fantastic. Okay, before we go, as we do every year, your prediction: who wins on Monday night? You know, and I know you're going to break it down and have your rooting interest.
I will say, and I'm always wrong. So if you're writing this down for any purposes other than entertainment, at your own risk. I think it's going to be an all Big Ten championship.
This is it's one of those cool things that any team that wins this weekend would not be a surprise.
No,
Any
it really
of the
wouldn't.
four cutting down the nets on Monday.
Illinois is really good. UConn's won 6 national titles since 1999. I mean, Arizona is a power, and Michigan has dominated almost everybody. So no, it wouldn't surprise anybody to see any of these four.
Yep, we'll see. Kevin Kugler, our guest. Kevin, you're the man. I very much appreciate
Thanks, Jason.
the time.
Appreciate
as
it.
always.
Always good to see you.
Absolutely. There's Kevin Kugler, voice of Westwood One. You'll hear him right here on Sports Radio 810 Zone coming up next. All right, there's Ryan, Lawn, and Tree joining us now. The voice of Westwood One. You see him on TV. You hear him on the radio on Sports Radio 810. It is Kevin Kugler joining us here in the zone. Kevin, how are you, sir?
I am
here. We have this little anniversary talk, and it's kind of the same.
All right.
You know, so,
well, let's do all those things.
You know what's new?
Out there, all.
Services, Reed Collision Centers, and Ryan, Lawn and Tree. Thank you to the many guests we've had on the show today. Kevin Kugler there. You'll hear him as the voice of Westwood One tomorrow night, both games, and on Monday night in the national championship game of the Missouri Tigers. Mick Schaefer is with us. And Mick, we originally planned on Dennis Gates at noon, and then Stephen Lutz, the head coach of Oklahoma State, was going to join us at 12:40, and then we'd have you on the air back at the studio, and I'd have Stephen Lutz here, and we would just be battling back and forth, Mick, you and I, I would ask him Western Kentucky questions, and then you would butt in with an Oklahoma State question, and then I would bring it back to Bowling Green and WKU and making the tournament. Then you would take it to Oklahoma State and like, hey, let's live in the now. And that was the whole thing, this whole skit we had drawn up and planned and worked on for days. But then live skits hit the cutting room floor. I mean, all the time.
Dennis Gates took Steve Lutz his spot here like he took it in the tournament. Late January.
There was one time when they were a 10 seed.
They started off 12-0 in the non-con, and
and they were.
I forgot about them. They were ranked in the top 10 or something at one point.
Yeah, then their first loss was to Oklahoma, and you're like, okay, maybe they're not back.
Yeah, that's because nobody
But
loses
they
to Oklahoma.
learned. I was going to ask him. I'm like, I loved how you taught your team offense this year, and then next year, I assume we're teaching them defense. One side in points per game allowed, and I didn't know there were that many teams in Division One. I looked it up. There's like 361, so there's like 30 teams that they just dominated. There are 30 teams that gave up more than like 93 a game.
Like seriously, like they've got a long way to go before they're dead last. So he's got some big
3.9 per game and gave up 83.2 per game, 0.7.
Sounds like they're winners. Sounds like they win every game.
Winning.
If you
It's
average it
right.
out over the course of the
You just
season,
average it out,
40
yeah.
and 0.
Only.
I mean, that's what it
If
sounds
only
like to me.
those, games didn't count against Prairie View and Oral Roberts.
You count all of them, and Oral counted too. Okay, just because it doesn't count for you anymore, Sterling, it counts throughout the entire season. Every single game counts. All right. So,
Roberts Oral counts. Oral Roberts. That's it.
that's true. Yes, Oral Hershiser, he counts too. You know, everybody counts.
Hey, Jason,
yes,
I don't know if you've heard, and maybe I'm spilling the beans. There's new microphones in here.
I've heard about the
just the
mic,
stands.
the mic stands.
Just the stands.
Oh, yeah, the mics are the same.
I
New mic
saw a
stands.
picture
Yeah,
of
just
it,
the stands.
and boy, I'm really curious as to how that's going to work. I don't know what I'm
You're
going to.
still talking to the big end.
Oh, okay. I thought maybe like I sat on the floor now. So it looks like a completely different type of arm that I've
There's
never had
one
to deal
down
with
there.
before.
You have that option. You can sit on the floor.
Oh, that's
Crisscross
awesome. Would love to do that.
applesauce.
Love crisscross applesauce, man. That's great. Yeah, I'm seeing that. Well, the picture I have, the main mic is still the old one. So that one's been traded out now?
Yes.
Okay, so now all of them are the Ultima?
mic stands or what? The stanchions. They're all new, and then the actual
Okay.
microphones are still old. Which you don't want too much new here at
No.
810. One thing about every 10 years.
Yes.
Well, yeah. I mean, we don't want to.
No.
I don't like change.
Yeah, we don't need to make this place unrecognizable.
Honestly, even this is throwing me off. I don't like change. I might break it to see if we can get the old ones back.
Break one of them just to feel comfortable again. This is so weird, man. I can't even see it though. I'm sitting here at a table with some microphones and some people in a room and stuff like that. So no guest scheduled the rest of the show. So just us hanging out. And there is, by the way, Sterling, we got in this conversation. I don't know, last week when we were talking about Bill Self and we were talking about Tommy Lloyd in North Carolina. Tommy Lloyd, the news about him signing his contract extension, that he's going to stay at Arizona and is not going to go to North Carolina. And I don't know how much North Carolina was, serious, or how much he was serious in talking to North Carolina, or that stuff behind the scenes. His agent was talking to him. Doug Gottlieb said that Michael Jordan and Tommy Lloyd had a phone call. Tommy Lloyd said that wasn't true. And then said my Michael Jordan is Steve Kerr because he's at Arizona now, as opposed to being at North Carolina. But Sterling, did you see this
He's
little?
not the best player ever from Arizona. Who would that be? Who would be the Michael Jordan of Arizona? Miles, Mike Bibby?
Mike Bibby,
Miles
yeah.
Simon?
Miles Simon was most outstanding player of the championship that they won. So I mean, it could be him.
Jason Terry, maybe?
Jason Terry's a pretty good one. Jet.
Trying to look up who had the most.
Who was
Jason Terry, Richard Jefferson.
Oh, Richard Jefferson was awesome. Who was the big guy that took him that was really good in 01? Is it Logan Woods or something like that? Big what was his name?
Well, you also have Andre
Lauren Woods. Is that
Andre Iguodala. He was great. Damon Stoudemire, who I
Oh,
love.
Stoudemire, yeah, that was the '94 team that sucked.
Yep.
Whatever.
Agent Zero.
Yeah, there you
Gilbert
go.
Arenas.
Yep. They've had some good ones. They've had some good ones along the way. Stoudemire was pretty awesome. That's
Channing
true.
Frye.
Well, there you go. There's the one. But Sterling, remember what we were talking about last week about working with the right athletic director and the wondering about, okay, so you're at North Carolina. who's hiring you? Is it the athletic director that's leaving, the athletic director coming in, or the president of the university that hired Bill Belichick? So, like, what are you working with there? Did you see this little nugget from Matt Norlander on the contract for Tommy Lloyd, Sterling?
I have not seen that.
Okay. Sources. UNC offered Tommy Lloyd a top 2 contract in college basketball. Tommy Lloyd took less to stay at Arizona, but will still bump up to $7.2 million starting next season. His staff pool will get a huge bump, plus incentives brought back to their contract structures. Here's the last part, Sterling. He will also no longer report to Desiree Reed-Francois, the AD.
Oh, wow.
So there were clearly some issues between he
that a
and her.
request, do you think?
It had
Yeah.
to be. Had to be. She's not my boss anymore. If I stay, she ain't my boss.
Wow.
Yeah. So
good for him.
So that's I mean, she's gone from
He makes the calls.
She's gone from UNLV to Mizzou, and nobody at UNLV really spoke highly of what she was able to accomplish. Then she leaves Mizzou to go to Arizona to, quote, take less money, and it's like, okay, you're leaving all this behind, going
She
to
went there
Arizona.
for grad school for like a year, right? Or
Yeah,
something
yeah,
like
it's
that.
a dream school. Yeah, dream job for her, and that's going so well that the head basketball coach has written into his contract that she ain't my boss. That's
I mean, isn't that like a primary role of
yes.
an AD is to just oversee the coaches, and,
Right.
You know, have them report to you.
Yes, like I'm in charge of hiring and firing and things like that. Like, well, I'm not in charge of him. If I want to fire him, I can't fire him. I've got to go to whoever who he reports to. The university president, the board of directors, curators. Not sure, but he does not report to her anymore. I think that's a pretty significant nugget there when we're talking about
hallways there, right?
Yes. Yeah, was she in on the? Was that like arbitration with baseball players and the team? Like, was she in on the negotiations? Well, actually, he doesn't want to report to her over there. She can't. If he stays, she can't be his boss. And the board of curators like, yeah, we're good with that. We're totally fine with it. We keep Tommy Lloyd, and he doesn't have to worry about that. Oh, great. So there you go. That's so it because Sterling and I were talking about, like, okay, what has Desiree Reed-Francois done at Arizona? I know they had a lot of money problems when she went down there, and has she been able to turn that around? And Arizona football, Arizona State's been good, but Arizona football not so much. But Arizona basketball looks good. And what's the relationship with Tommy Lloyd? And apparently there isn't one.
Well, there may have been one, just not a good one.
Yes, that's. I
wonder if-
that's right.
I mean,
she hired Dennis Gates. I mean,
I
he's
guess
still
at
there.
least Tommy didn't say, "Hey, her or me, I'll stay if you fire her."
That's a good point. Yeah, it could have been
Otherwise,
worse.
I'm going to Chapel Hill.
Could have been worse. Yeah, it could have been an ultimatum that I'll be the North Carolina head coach unless it's if she stays. If not, then I'll stay, but I'm not answering to her. So that's
Hear me
it's
out. Not
interesting.
bad for her then too. That's less off her plate. It's a win-win. She's just like, I have to do less work
Doesn't-
now.
doesn't feel like job
castrate
security,
you
though.
A little bit too, although that's a bad example right there.
Yeah, that
She's
might.
already been castrated.
Doesn't doesn't that was at birth? Doesn't feel like job security though.
Cut
It's
your
like,
legs out from underneath you. Still very violent.
Yeah,
maybe
there's a lot of violence.
she
here.
loses credibility. How about that?
Yeah,
Yeah,
maybe,
right. She's had the door slammed in her face. Like, why are all these really like these violent things that we're describing? What's going on there?
So
with
bad
them?
with metaphors.
I know.
They
right?
handcuffed you. Oh, wait a
Yes.
minute.
Yeah, they keep shooting themselves in the foot. What's going on, man? Jeez. They cut off the nose to spite her face. Like, why would they do that?
There are a lot of these.
It's like, she can't even smell anymore. What's the like? And then, well, if you lose Tommy Lloyd, you don't want to throw the baby out with the bathwater. You know what I mean?
Don't
do that either. Why are we
That's
like
never been
this?
done.
Why are we like this?
That's never been done.
Why do we come up with all of these different metaphors and
It
sayings?
would have happened at some point.
All these turns of phrases were created like 1905, right? When everybody was really, really violent.
I mean,
Like, think about all the sayings of like, do I make you Randy? There had to be some guy named Randy who was a really
That's what you went
attractive
with?
guy.
Maybe. How about like?
You
Isn't
went
it like
with
Tomfoolery. Like Tom was always fooling around.
Isn't like Ring Around the Rosies? Isn't that
That's like the-
that's a very
dead.
violent
Black Plague,
dead
right?
war thing, plague
Yeah.
thing? Yes.
Yeah,
That,
we're kind of
teach all the kids to do in
psychopaths.
school.
Yeah,
Yes.
we're kind of.
See, I always thought Katie bar the door. It was like, Katie, bar the door.
Bar
Hurry,
that
put,
door,
put the bar on the
please.
door. Katie, bar the door, please. I thought that's what it was.
What
you
is
know?
it?
I thought isn't it like a Katie bar? Like it's like
I
called.
don't know what a Katie
Like
bar is.
it's like called a Katie bar.
Another thing that's
No,
violent.
it's actually champion at the bit.
Oh, okay. I don't know. Should I look up the origin of throw the baby out with the bathwater? Because like I don't want to find out that they
I mean,
actually
I
did
get
do
it.
that.
Like the most important thing is the baby, and this little thing is the bathwater. Don't ruin everything else for one little thing. I get. I just hope
Yeah.
it never happened. Like, oh, I did it again.
No, it
with
was
this bathwater. Out went Charles.
the earliest. It's a idiom deriving from a German proverb. We know those Germans.
Yeah.
The
Speaking of nonviolent society,
the earliest record of this phrase is 1512, an appeal to fools by Thomas Murner. It's a woodcut illustration
They might have
showing
been throwing babies
a
out in
woman
1512.
tossing
Yeah.
a baby out with water. Yeah.
Right. Do you want the myth that has been debunked for the origin of throwing the baby out with the bathwater?
Yes.
The myth is the phrase "don't throw the baby out with the bathwater" originated in colonial times, referring to the bathing practices of the time. In a household, the father would bathe first, because of course, then the mother, then the children, oldest to youngest. Everyone would use the same water. Thus, the time the baby got its bath, the water would be so filthy there was a danger that the baby would be lost in the water and thrown out. That's the myth.
Gross, dude.
But that's the myth.
Lost in the water?
Well, it's so dirty.
Lost in the water? I know, but that's
but thrown
still the
out.
same.
They were big old like tall tubs, like
Yeah, big
oaken
tubs.
barrels almost.
Like, bourbon barrels.
Yeah,
You're basically
exactly.
showering in bourbon. Dude, I would be so bad living back in like the 1400s. Imagine, they don't know golden tea. They
There's
had
no
beer,
there's no
but, like,
country club for you to go shave at.
Yeah, I'd be so bad in the olden days.
You can go to a country.
Smell
You'd
like
have to
crap.
shave in your own sink.
Yeah, dude, that
would suck for
You
you,
have to
man.
shave like once a year. That's
Oh,
what they
man.
did.
Yeah,
they
I-
bathed like once every 6 months.
Oh, dude, I'd shower like twice a day. Yeah, I would be bad in the 1400s.
I'm going in town to take a bath.
Yeah, it's like
You
make
go into town to take a bath.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like when you when you make ends meet, you make the end of the meat, you cut it off, and that end of the meat, and you make it you make
It
it.
could go on forever.
Yes, you make that
I
ends
hate
meet.
this.
I don't think that's
So
what
how
it
about
means.
those Royals?
Is that, I don't think that's what it means, by the way.
They
don't know.
they almost threw the baby out with the bathwater on Wednesday night. That was a frustrating game to watch. Well, a third of it was, but they saved the baby.
Yes,
At the last second, they grabbed the baby. It was flying through the air with the bathwater.
they caught it.
They caught it.
It's all good.
They caught it.
Unlike who was the Philadelphia Eagles receiver that the dude that caught the baby in the fire in Philadelphia then said,
Oh yeah,
unlike
not
not Jalen Rager, right?
No, it wasn't Rieger. He ended up going to the Raiders. Aguilar, Nelson
Yes,
Aguilar.
unlike Nelson Aguilar, I caught the baby.
Caught the baby. Unlike Aguilar,
Unlike
as he looked into
Aguilar.
the camera and made sure he really got that right.
I feel like, although they are kind of throwing the baby out the bathwater, having like the best rotation so far in baseball and only being 3-3.
Yeah, that's
Are the
That's an
pitching
issue.
staff the baby in this regard because they're the ones getting thrown out?
Part of the pitching staff, the starting rotation would be
The starter baby.
The bathwater is the bullpen.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yep, and that's being thrown out. So yeah, if hopefully if they have a game tonight, somebody doesn't show up at the 11th hour. What?
I've hated this last 20 minutes.
Sorry, I'm
I
late.
just want to talk.
Did you guys see the Twins tweet
Sorry,
today?
I guess I'm a day
Yeah.
late and a dollar short here. All right, so that's fine. Yeah, you know what? Good for them. That's fine. I almost quote tweeted it and took it seriously instead of just being like, that's fine. I almost quote
let
tweeted
it
it.
go. Don't take that serious.
I was going to
It's-
quote tweet it and say,
all
and
good
at
fun.
and at what point do the fans show up and see a real major league team on the field?
They cannot throw or catch. I've learned that. That's my learned. The Twins. this week.
Rough.
Rough. I was willing to chalk it up to the bad weather, the fog, the wetness, and everything. But no, sunny. Even in sunny conditions, they can't throw
Yeah.
or catch. And the Royals didn't take advantage of that yesterday.
Yeah, that was unfortunate because Reagan's looked good, and the offense just can't. At one game, 6 games, at 5 games of the 6, they've scored 10 runs. The other one, they scored 13. So which one is the offense you would expect? So far,
I didn't like Bobby getting after the review getting forced out at second when I feel like that was a great time for him to run.
Yeah.
Try to swipe second.
Yeah.
For a very big double play candidate and
Yep.
And Salvi, I feel like that maybe left a run out there.
Bobby's hitting the ball hard. It's just unlucky right
Oh,
now. So
so unlucky.
I'm hoping that will eventually turn.
He's
you
been
know?
through those stretches, though.
Yeah.
He knows there's no way he's getting down on that.
Is
Even
there-
though I'm like, God, he smoked that
Dude,
gap.
launch
but
that
Byron
thing.
Buxton still runs
Get
like
your
a 4.4
launch angle up, dude.
somehow.
I can't imagine what it would be like to be a major league player, to face the pitchers that you face and smoke a baseball and somebody runs and catches it. And
And
you're like,
have
what the hell
still
am I
some
supposed
great
to do?
athletes out in the outfield that run it down.
Like, what am I supposed to do, dude? I'm smoking the baseball. I'm doing what I can do. Like, I'm frustrated watching it. I can't imagine playing and going through the at-bats and connecting and squaring one up and hitting it 110 right at somebody.
Who was the old Royals third base? Was it Mike Aviles, right?
Oh, yeah.
I remember we talked to him
Shortstop.
after.
He also played
shortstop?
second
I think he
base.
played- Yeah. But we were asking him after a game. He had a couple bloop into the bat singles. And we're like, hey, you gonna take those? And he's like, absolutely, I'll take those. I'm like, those all even out, right? He's like, they don't come close to evening out. For every one of those I hit about 20 balls on the nose that are outs, basically. I'm like, yeah, probably right there.
That is, yeah. We always say, like, oh, do those actually even out?
Not in baseball.
Yeah, Mike Aviles is one of the.
Ball lies a lot in baseball.
Oh, yeah, it does.
Ball don't lie sometime in basketball.
Yeah.
In baseball, ball lies a lot.
Mike Aviles was the random guy that they actually hit on when they had the draft of only drafting college seniors so
Yeah,
that
I
they
remember
didn't have
that.
negotiating power. We're only drafting college seniors because we can't sign them.
Seniors.
And he was one of the guys they drafted. Hey, and it worked out. They found a nice player. You know, it was fine.
He hit like 330 one year.
Yeah, like I said, he was fine. They actually found a player in that. I don't remember what round he was drafted in, but, you know, it wasn't
Seventh
first.
round?
Yeah, 7th round pick. So there you go. Oh, that's right. They gave him $1,000 signing bonus as a 7th round pick. He didn't have a
Really,
choice.
just 1,000.
Yeah, and then he didn't have a choice.
He hit 325 as a rookie, as a 27-year-old rookie.
27.
27-year-old rookie hit
Yeah.
325.
Yeah, well, I think he was a 26-year-old senior, maybe. I'm not sure. Well, no, that was pre-COVID days. That was like 2003. That was when you were only allowed to play for 5 minutes in college. You know, not now. In what you can do. By the way, I brought up yesterday with Kevin Kruger, Lon's son, who's on the Illinois staff, Mick, and I don't know if you remember this or not, but just the juxtaposition of where we are right now. Kevin was he was at Arizona State, I think. And then he transferred, a grad transfer. It was when the first year they had the rule that if you can grad transfer, you can play immediately. And he
I
did that.
remember Russell Wilson was like the first guy I remember.
Yeah.
I'm sure there are guys before him.
But
that was able
Kruger
to do that and made an impact.
Kruger went to play for his dad at UNLV
Yeah.
for 1 year as a grad transfer, and it was this huge controversy. And it
Mhm.
was like they just created this grad program for him. He could have taken those grad classes at Arizona. That's not the rules for. They actually did away with the rule for 2 years because of Kruger, and then they went
they
back
did?
and brought it
I
back.
didn't know that.
Because they were so offended that he was allowed to play right away
Remember-
without having to sit for
Remember
a
Bill Self
year.
had a great bite about it. He's like, yeah, I don't think it's right. I don't think it's fair, but we're one of the one of the programs that's going to benefit a lot from this rule.
That's right.
Guys are going to want to come to Kansas and play right away.
Yeah, that's right. It's like the mid-major coaches that are like, you know, these big programs should play us. All right, cool. So when you get that job, are you going to play the really good
Yeah,
mid-major
exactly.
programs and potentially lose and not necessarily help your tournament standing? Well, I guess by that time there'll be 150 teams in the tournament, so it'd be fine at that point. You can still make the tournament.
No.
So it'll be
So-
it will be good. Mick, as we talk seriously now about the 11th hour, my takeaway yesterday was actually more about Vinny Pasquantino.
Same.
Like my takeaway yesterday was like, okay, he overslept, he's 22, and then I heard Vinny talk. I'm like, yeah, that's the story. The story is they're in great hands when Salvi steps away
100%.
because good God, what a leader, and the way that he handled that was perfect. Perfect.
I and you and I both know Carter a little bit, and my guess is that Carter was going to stand up and face the music regardless. But even if not, he had no choice. Vinny was going to prop him up there as well. It was so funny. It was like hearing your dad talk. Or I've made the same type speech of like, you know what? We were worried. Most of all, we called your parents. We were worried. Okay, that's the biggest news. We were worried sick about you. Do you know what you did to your mother? Right? That was the tone at the beginning, and then it's like, okay, now found you're all right. Guess what? You're gonna face some repercussions here. It was like he's gonna be a great father too, because I've delivered that speech.
I know you didn't have a good morning, but can you imagine we didn't have a good morning either? Okay, so he didn't have the best of drives in the morning, but we didn't have a good morning either. Okay, like it is so the no, son. Do you understand why I yell? I yelled because you ran out and didn't look. All right, I yelled because you scared the crap out of me. That's why I'm mad
And I'm not
because
mad,
I'm protecting you.
I'm not mad, Carter. I'm just disappointed.
But I'm
such a
I'm mad because I'm protecting you. That's why I'm upset. You don't understand that. That's why I'm getting frustrated. It's for your own good. It's for your own protection. Yeah, that is such a dad speech to your son or daughter. What Vinny gave.
just a little bit of the hyperbole too, and talk about Sal. People are like, well, you got a 36-year-old catcher whose world was rocked.
World was rocked.
We laughed. I said that, Mick, hear me out. Don't you think that Salvi may be the culprit? Because Salvi wants to catch as many games as possible. Salvi may have actually turned the alarm clock off.
Yes.
He was like, oh, thank you, my friend. He was like, thanks for letting me catch
Salvi
today.
unplugged.
He just rolled over.
Unplugged the alarm clock. He unplugged the alarm clock.
Okay,
and was like, I don't understand. Why is Carter late? I guess I'll catch Skip.
So I have a couple
Thank you, my friend.
questions that I don't know have been answered yet. You guys might know. So he got scratched an hour and a half before the game, and it sounds like even an hour and a half before the game he was not there. It sounds like the scratch was more of a necessity of like, we don't know if he's going to be there, as opposed to a punishment. Is that the take? Is that right? When do we think he got there?
Didn't Vinny say something about 90 minutes? Or maybe it was
Yes.
90 minutes he wasn't here yet.
Yes, that's what it sounded like. And to which, like, yeah, that's cutting it pretty close.
Yeah.
Those
When
guys,
did-
even on a 1 o'clock game, I think are supposed to be there roughly 3 to 4 hours.
When did they tweet out the
Maybe just
updated-
3 for a 1 o'clock. I think it was an hour and a half before. And then, like, to hear that they called his parents and everything, and does he still live with the folks? I know
Maybe
at one
he
time
lives with his
did.
parents,
He
and that's
did
why.
at one time. I don't know if, like,
That's why you
he's gonna
called
get
them.
his
You're
own
like,
place
hey.
this year.
His
Well, I
dad's
don't
gonna
think
wake
they
him up in the morning for school.
I don't think you need to call him just if he lives with them or not. It's a, hey, have you heard from him? Because nobody
Yeah, it
can
was
get a hold of
worried
him.
phone call.
Yeah, and that's
they
what
said.
Vinny was like. We didn't have a great morning either. Like we were pretty worried about it as
Hear
well.
me out. What if, Mick, they, for his walk-up song, you use an alarm
That
clock?
was funny. I said it yesterday. I'm like, Sterling actually had a good tweet. Listen to this.
I did. Thank
Yes,
you.
yes.
Oh my gosh! At Home Stretch KC, follow me. Yeah.
Yeah, I do. I did. After that,
That's good
I
for
follow
you. Good for you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the lineup
keep that up.
change.
Find some more good ones. To
Lineup
tweet out.
change
Okay.
came out at okay. So now I don't know, since I'm Eastern time, I'm looking up Andy Rogers' tweet, and it says 1:18. So I'm assuming that's 1:18 Eastern time.
It's
Not
12:18 here,
yeah.
yeah.
So
So
it's
it's
got to be
less than an hour
12:18.
before the game started.
Yeah. So I was
But
going to
they
say,
made the-
yeah, because the game was
switch.
1:10, so it couldn't have been 1:18 Central time.
So at
jackass.
first it sounded like okay, yeah, they're punishing him, and rightfully so
Mm-hmm.
that he got there late. But the more after the game, talking to people, it kind of sounded like no, that they had to do this. Here, Lane Thomas, which by the way, he did not have a good day at the plate yesterday. Did not look ready.
He was
planning on
rocked.
not playing.
He was rocked by that news.
Yeah,
His world was.
his world was rocked. Although I'm sure he wanted to play, and he does it. He'll play as much as possible. But yeah, I mean, I'm sorry. I know you're 22, whatever, 23 maybe. And he played late the night before. But if you just got to be there by 10:30 or 11, I don't think that's
It
too much
happens.
to-
People
Look, night
Not
games.
at-
He's not going to oversleep at night games.
I've never heard that
think
happen.
We're fine.
Have you? Major League Baseball player?
I'm sure it's
I have-
happened.
I'm sure it maybe has happened, but I've never heard it happen.
But has it happened and they didn't let it out? And it was just like, okay,
Yeah,
he
that's
overslept
probably
and
maybe-
showed
I mean,
up late,
it's a rookie, and they're like going to make sure like
he wasn't going to
owns
play
this.
anyway. This freaking guy, he wasn't going to play.
Well, they already put the lineup out. That's kind of the difference. When you put the lineup out already, you have to eventually say, "Oh,
okay, why?
Yeah, why is this dude?"
If it's a veteran guy, maybe
Mm-hmm.
you'll
Yeah.
like cover for him.
Yeah.
But rookie, they're not going to.
He came down with an illness.
Yeah, we're like, no, we're not going to own this. This is you. You got to face the music.
Yeah.
So it's one of those things where, just like with a kid, right, who gets in trouble, and we're worried sick, you didn't call or whatever. You're hard on him for a couple days, and then you go get ice cream,
Yeah.
and so
Then you
so
laugh about it.
Go get ice cream. In a week, we'll be laughing about it.
I know, and maybe I'm being too flippant about it, but I'm just like, I know he's overslept. He's a 22-year-old, and there is every person walking around that knows exactly what that feeling is when you wake up and look at the clock and go, oh, bleep.
But I would say not every Major League Baseball player
No,
knows
I would
that for
right,
a Major
for sure.
League Baseball game.
Yeah, for sure.
So
Yeah.
big time learning moment. So
Yeah, he'll be fine.
great that they're tough on him, but then after a day or so, everybody can move on, and we can laugh at the tweets that the Twins put out.
Here's my real life concern though for Carter over the next few days. He's
130.
He started 2 of 16, and I don't know if he's pressing or whatever, but now he's going to go up to the plate. Is he feeling embarrassed? Is he now in his own head? And so now 2 for 16 could be 2 for 30. And then you're like, okay, do we have to send him back down?
Yeah.
Like yes, those are like 5 steps ahead, but I think baseball's already hard to play. And then if you feel like, okay, well now, I'm embarrassed or I feel terrible and now I'm not doing the job at the plate and I had this, thing that happened. I hope that doesn't bother him and he goes out there and starts tonight if whenever the lineup's out and he kills it and he breaks out, this season. But I do worry about a young guy when this is the first time of any sort of negative thing, because he's been amazing throughout high school. When he was drafted, he's killed it in the minors, comes up last year as white hot, rookie of the year favorites this year, doesn't start off well, and then has this, and I worry about the possibility of then getting in your own head.
No, I think to me, he's going to, snooze on the slow start, and this is going to have him wake up.
Really?
That's the song. Wham! Wake me up before you go.
That would be a good one. Yeah, I think now his bat's going to go.
Is that what you were going with?
Hopefully, I would lean more towards Sterling for once. It's crazy. Hopefully, he didn't get to 2 for 30. But hey, by the way, was he calling those pitches in the 9th inning?
I don't know. All I know, it's been a nightmare start for him. But I think we can dream that it gets better.
He was the catcher that 9th inning.
We can dream
for
it
all
gets
those
better
bombs.
though.
And I don't know. Is it him calling it there? Is it relayed in from the dugout? How much is Steven Cruz responsible for the pitches thrown
Most
there?
of it.
So
I would guess most of it is on Steven Cruz.
Well, I mean, it's absolutely he's throwing the pitches, but of the pitches called, who's in charge mostly of calling those pitches?
Who do we think wins?
I guess anymore he can do the buzzer.
Yeah,
now. I forget about that. So
he can shake it off. Who do we think that wasn't in Sterling? That wasn't one of the jokes that you were going with, and it also wasn't a Taylor Swift one either. Who do we think, to change the subject? Who do we think wins tomorrow night and Monday? We've got the first game being Illinois and UConn, and then Arizona, Michigan, which I do think a lot of people feel like that second game is the national championship game. Yeah. But that's, could be selling short a team that has won 2 national championships with Danny Hurley and Brad Underwood in Illinois that have been really good. Who do we think wins tomorrow night? Sterling, Mick, Michael?
Arizona, because that's the one I said before the tournament started. So
okay.
they're still left. So I'm going to stick with that because I'm
for
going to
you.
ride and roll with that bad boy. And then when it comes to UConn, Illinois, I've gone back and forth on this a ton, but it does feel like UConn might be the little team of destiny after they keep finding ways.
The 2 seed.
The 33-5 Dan Hurley national champion underdog
Dynasty
UConn Huskies.
program, yeah.
No, but I just think that they're playing good ball right now. And I like the veteran leadership of Caravan and some of those dudes. So those are 2 slight underdogs. So I'm going with the underdogs. Can't wait to go 0-2.
Love it. Me too. I picked Arizona too. And I'll stick with that. Although, I mean, as great as Arizona's looked all season in this tournament, Michigan's looked a little bit better all season in this tournament. So wouldn't be surprised if Michigan wins that game. I will go with Arizona for the same reason as Sterling. I picked them. And then, honestly, I think Illinois has already beaten a better team than UConn in Houston. And they did it impressively. And UConn got dominated all but the last couple seconds of that game against Duke. So I actually like the Illini. I'm going to go Illinois and Arizona championship game. Can't wait to go into.
All right.
I also had Arizona winning the national championship, so I'm going to stick with Arizona, but I'm going to bank on UConn shooting the ball better against Illinois.
Yes.
And so I'll have UConn advancing to the national championship. I actually had UConn in my Final Four and losing to Florida. And that didn't go out.
Welcome to our 0-2, Michael. Welcome to the side.
Yeah.
Sterling Sam.
Can we all go 0-2?
But I'm still going to have Arizona cutting down the nets.
Yeah, I have Arizona cutting down the nets before the tournament started. And I had Illinois in this game Saturday. I had them losing to Michigan State. I had Arizona beating Iowa State as a last-second scratch out Michigan and put Iowa State. I'm so stupid.
You dumbass.
I'm totally stupid.
You
so
got the Michigan part right,
Yes.
just at the wrong part of the graphic.
That's right. I'm so stupid. And yes, UConn
You did
is
put Michigan State Wolverines though. It was weird. You
Yes.
did
It was
put
weird.
Killed it.
And they were what's green and yellow put together? It's kind of a blue. They put a
Chartreuse.
blue, yeah,
Chartreuse.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, UConn is the scrappy little underdog with the freshman that came off the bench. That was
And that likable coach.
yeah. But like the Braylon
So
Mullins,
calm.
it's a great story too. Like the under recruited kid that nobody knew about, the 12th player in America that comes off the bench.
All-American.
Yes,
He doesn't start for them.
he's the number 12 player in America, and it's
That
like
never gets mentioned because it's the
wow.
greatest freshman class of all
I can't
time.
believe he hit that three like that. Oh my God, yeah, he was like the number 1 shooting guard in America. The guy, all he does is shoot. So it is a fun little underdog Cinderella story for this UConn team to be there. But I'm going to go Arizona and Illinois. I'll be rooting hard for Illinois. I love the story of Brad Underwood. Obviously, Keaton Wagler. That story is great locally. So I'm not a big fan of Hurley. So and it's.
I think you have most of the country cheering for the Illini.
I think so too.
on,
yeah.
Saturday.
Do K-State
Besides
fans?
Mizzou fans.
Do K-State fans choose root for Illinois with Brad
Yeah,
Underwood?
maybe not O-State fans. We're not too happy.
No,
with
probably
them
not
either.
Oklahoma State, but I wonder about K-State because it's like, hey, he could be one of your own, but he never got around to hiring him, and it didn't work out, and now
Same
he's
with Keaton
somewhere
Wagler.
else.
One of your own.
It didn't get around to hiring him either. But I do wonder, like, do they root for Brad Underwood, or is it like annoyance because, like, hey, it would have been nice to hire that guy, and have him coaching for K-State. But I'm going to go Arizona over Illinois. So Mick and I have the same thing, which means that Michigan is definitely going to win this thing.
Yeah, Michigan definitely is because no one
They
had
look
Michigan. Yeah.
So they're really. I mean, they look so good.
Yeah.
I thought 3 of us were picking Michigan. I thought I was the only one who was going to pick Arizona.
I mean, like
and that's
I felt like I should
nerve-wracking.
pick Michigan, but I wrote down Arizona.
I'd actually be smart to pick Michigan because my bracket is Arizona, so therefore I would be right. Like, oh, Arizona won. Told you. I picked them before the tournament started. Michigan won. I told you guys on Friday Michigan was going to win it.
I've had a better bracket this year than almost every other year. I got 13 at the Sweet 16.
That's pretty
5
good.
of 8, and not 2 of 4. I usually don't. I usually don't do that good. Just because I picked chalk, basically. It's my new strategy moving forward.
I mean, right? I mean, we were a last-second shot from 35, 40 feet away from having 7 of the
3
8.
of 4, yeah.
Yeah, 7 of the 8 number 1 seeds the last 2 years. All number 1s last year, and 3 of the 4
Yeah,
were almost
good
number
call.
1 seeds if it wasn't for that 12th player in America, number 2 shooting guard in America, that scrappy little. That's like when Duke in 2015 wins the national championship. And do you remember, like, they were freshmen, Okafor and Tyus Jones and Justice Winslow, but there was a freshman that came off the bench that scored like 15 in the national championship game. And it was like, oh my God, what a story. We're talking about all of these great freshmen, and this guy comes out of nowhere and comes off the bench and scores all these points. It was the number 10 player in America, Grayson Allen, in that championship game. It's what a great story. Okafor and Jones and Winslow, but it was this reserve player, Grayson Allen.
McDonald's All-American.
McDonald's All-American.
The other team tripped up.
Good call. I like that one.
Is he
Yeah.
tripping people back then, or did he wait till like later in his
I
career?
no, he didn't play much. That was when he was likable, except for playing for
Right,
Duke.
yes.
Then he wasn't very likable, but they won the championship. So, like, I guess it wasn't all these big time freshmen that won. So I guess I can root for this 10th player in America that went to Duke and his team was so good he had to come off the bench. That's cool. Yeah, that's a little bit like UConn and Braylon Mullins. So we'll take a timeout. We'll come back, wrap up the show, hanging out here at the Final Four in Indianapolis. One more segment next.
You're in the zone with Jason Anderson on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
You want me to see if we could play like